The story begins at the Awakening Plaza. Welcome to a world of strange powers and shifting illusions where reality and games have merged into one. Here, when humans hit the age of 18, they will awaken unique skills, opening the door to superhuman abilities. The skill system is divided into three main branches: combat, lifestyle, and support. Anyone unlucky enough to awaken a lifestyle class is basically resigned to a life as an ordinary person, while support classes are nothing but terrifying money-burning machines. Without a great family or a powerful backing, don't even dream of training a decent support unit. As far as I'm concerned, the most optimal path is to awaken as a fighter in the combat class. This world is scattered with countless dungeons, forbidden zones, secret realms, and monsters. Only by awakening as a fighter and insanely grinding levels to slay monsters can I constantly grow stronger, and I, Lam Han, will definitely become the strongest man alive. As he was lost in his heroic daydreams, someone suddenly poked Lam Han in the shoulder. "Hey, it's your turn." It was Vuong Quang. He whispered the news: "The homeroom teacher has been eyeing you for a while now." He cursed under his breath. "This time I'm really done for." This beautiful lady was Duong Tuyet V, the homeroom teacher of Class 6. She spoke in a stern tone. "You there, don't be distracted on such an important day as the awakening ceremony." Before she could even finish, Lam Han dashed onto the awakening platform. Vuong Quang stood below, cheering him on. "Lam Han, wait until you become a fighter, then the two of us can go grind levels and slay monsters together. Wait for my triumphant return." Awakening. A class doesn't just depend heavily on talent. It's also influenced by one's own willpower. Ever since he transmigrated here, he had been putting in non-stop effort, just for the goal of becoming a fighter. Lam Han slowly stepped into the center of the formation. Instantly, a massive pillar of light shot up from the vortex straight into the blue sky. Oh my God, is Lam Han's talent really this terrifying? What kind of overpowered class is he going to awaken? Wait, what the hell is happening? Duong Tuyet Vai explained. "It's a hidden class. In this world, besides the three main branches, there exists an extremely rare type called a hidden class. Its very appearance has triggered this heaven-shaking, earth-shattering phenomenon. This is a blessings from the heavens for a new class." Below, Vuong Quang was beyond excited. Does this mean Lam Han will definitely become an invincible powerhouse? A notification board appeared before Lam Han. "Congratulations, Lam Han, class change successful. Achievement unlocked, hidden class. Class attribute hidden. Specific name, Life Priest." Lam Han's jaw dropped as he heard this. He thought to himself, a priest, isn't this like the founding ancestor of the support branch? He stood there frozen for a long time. The person in charge also muttered with regret, "Can't believe it's a priest. This kid, what a pity." A confused Vuong Quang turned to the person conducting the ritual. "Teacher, the phenomenon Lam Han caused was so spectacular. It's clearly a high-tier class. Why are you calling it a pity?" The person explained thoroughly. A priest belongs to a unique branch of magic different from ordinary mages. They support teammates by singing battle hymns. Each hymn provides different buffing effects, truly a very strange support class. However, its path to leveling up is filled with hardships. The cultivation system in this world is divided into 9 realms from high to low, with every 10 levels being a stage. On this basis, a priest needs to absorb special elements, which means having to dive headlong into natural disaster zones. And natural disasters, even level 60 powerhouses don't dare to venture deep into them. Who could possibly meet such a condition in history? No priest has ever surpassed level 10. It's known as one of the most trash-tier classes. Upon hearing this, Vuong Quang was stunned into silence. A natural disaster? That's a force of nature even more terrifying than legendary forbidden-level spells. He trudged down from the platform. Teacher Duong Tuyet Vai approached to comfort him. "Lam Han, don't be discouraged. After all, you do possess a hidden class." He thought bitterly, is my life as Lam Han really over before it even began? He dejectedly dragged his feet home. He opened his personal attribute board to examine it. Among the 5 stats, 3 were over the 100 mark. This base foundation was many times stronger than an average person's. If only he had awakened as a fighter. How overpowered would these stats be? Stamina is currently 100, agility 30, magic 50, resilience 110, and strength 120. Well, let's see what skills I've got. At one glance, he immediately curled his lip in disdain. Why did I end up with the weakest class of them all? And I'm stuck with 4 of the trashiest skills among all trash. A weakling like this, even if they reach level 10, wouldn't compare to a common lifestyle class. Suddenly, a familiar sound rang out accompanied by a notification. "You have received a message." He opened it and was overjoyed to find, "Host is experiencing a mental breakdown. Guide system officially online. Activate 10,000 times acceleration feature." He cheered inwardly. A system, my golden finger, finally decided to show up. The system allows you to select any item to proceed with 10,000 times acceleration, no restrictions on targets. Lam Han asked immediately, "System, can you accelerate my class board 10,000 times?" The answer was, of course. Very soon after, a new notification popped up. "Class board successfully accelerated 10,000 times. Host, please check immediately." Everything inside had completely transformed. Forbidden magic exclusive talent, capable of suppressing all elemental magic within a 500-kilometer radius. Converted into personal magic power, Angel's Protection, forbidden level skill. Sing the hymn of praise to the goddess of life to automatically resurrect a portion of dead creatures, excluding machinery elements and the undead. Death's Recovery, forbidden level skill. Chant the hymn of the death god to summon an army of demons after victory. It will convert 30% of defeated enemies into spirits on your side, excluding non-living units. The skill Forbidden Chant Goddess's Dirge applies 2 debuffs. It causes the opponent to have a 15% chance of unconditional surrender. Finally, the Forbidden Chant Chaos Zone summons the chaotic land of Feta, gaining 2 types of buffs while randomly casting forbidden spells, such as explosive ice arrows, continuous star fragments, and Judge of the Final Day. Lam Han exclaimed, "Great stuff! These 4 types of forbidden-level spells have their basic attributes increased 10,000 times over. With this kind of gear, I can easily charge into a natural disaster now." But suddenly Vuong Quang came running after him. "I finally found you! I've caught up to you, Lam Han!" "Don't ignore me. You took off right after the class transfer. I still have important things to discuss. In 7 days, the university entrance exam begins. Let's go grind dungeons these next few days to improve our strength. Let's take the exam together." Suddenly, a mocking voice echoed from afar. "Ha ha ha ha, Vuong Quang, are you telling jokes?" Lam Han awakened the trashiest class and still wants to get into university. "Are you going there to sweep the floors?" "What do you mean by that?" "Cao Sung, you only awakened a stealthy thief class in the combat system anyway. What are you so cocky about?" Cao Sung's face darkened as he stepped closer to Lam Han. "I've said it before. Good theoretical grades don't solve anything. People from poor backgrounds like you are destined to be losers." He immediately retorted sharply, "Wise dogs don't block the road. Get lost so things can be clear." Cao Sung turned purple with rage and shouted, "What did you just bark, Lam Han? Stop acting so high and mighty. Do you think you're still the #1 genius of high school #2? With that trashy class, I could beat you to a pulp with one hand tied behind my back." As soon as Cao Sung finished his sentence, Lam Han landed a straight punch to his face and followed up with one to his stomach, sending him flying far away. He slammed into the corner of the wall before stopping. Lam Han's eyes blazed with anger as he cracked his knuckles. "You just said you could handle me with one hand, right?" Seeing Cao Sung beaten to a pulp, the lackeys trailing behind him panicked in fear. "Boss, are you all right?" He spoke through gritted teeth. "What did you say again? One hand to handle me, huh?" Cao Sung still tried to save face. Don't be so smug yet. Wait a few days until I reach level 10. Once I transition to phase 2, you'll still be a loser forever. When that time comes, we'll see how I deal with you." Lam Han continued to crack his knuckles again, making the group jump in fear. Cao Sung hurriedly found an excuse to slip away. "Anyway, just you wait. Let's retreat." Vuong Quang walked back, marveling, "Geez, Lam Han, I have a feeling you're destined to become a big shot who can stir up storms." "Brother, stop bragging. Let's head home. It's getting late. I'm being serious, you know." He walked silently through the dilapidated, crumbling streets. He muttered to himself, "When will these trashed roads ever be fixed? Walking here is such a pain." After weaving through the streets, he finally arrived at his small house. Lam Han felt both exhausted and dejected, thinking, "How do I tell Mom and Dad about this? They'll surely be disappointed in me." But as he opened the door, he tried to craft his brightest smile to face them. "I'm home. It smells so good. Did Dad show off his cooking skills today?" his mother asked gently. "Lam Han is back, huh? Today is a big day, so the boss let us leave an hour early to celebrate your awakening. The whole family gathered around the cozy dining table. His father picked up a bottle of wine and poured a glass. My son has become an adult today. Have a drink with Dad, shall we? Yes, Dad. And about your awakening, it's okay. The homeroom teacher already called your mother. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. His father comforted him warmly. Even if you didn't become a warrior as you dreamed, don't ever be discouraged. That's right, son. An excellent person will shine no matter what profession they choose. Come on, young man, don't be so gloomy. Stay strong for the future of our family. Let's toast. Don't worry, Mom and Dad, I definitely won't give up. The dinner ended. His mother was busy washing the dishes in the back. Lam Han poked his head out and asked if she needed a hand. His mother glanced at him, smiled, and waved him off. No need, just go sit and watch TV. A black box that looked quite old appeared. His father's voice rang out, Son! Lam Han picked it up, eyes gleaming with curiosity, and asked, What is this? His father leaned against the chair, his face flushed with drunkenness, eyes half closed as he slurred, That's a gift from your parents. His mother stepped out from the kitchen, saw it, and said, Oh, you took it out already. This is our family's heirloom. Hearing his mother, he turned his head, puzzled. What kind of treasure looks this old? His mother explained, This was passed down by our ancestors. It's been over 100 years already. Don't look at your old man looking so pathetic right now. Before things went downhill, we were a prominent family, you know. Are you really complaining while helping your old man walk? Someone help me hold him, son. Don't look at our family as poor right now. If you trace back 18 generations, our ancestors were real big shots. In his mind, he pictured someone holding a staff standing at the pinnacle. Now that we have you, you're a mage, so it's perfect tomorrow. I'll take you two out to start training. The clock struck nearly 10, and that old dusty box was finally opened. Lam Han happily held the mage staff wearing the robe. He thought to himself, I didn't expect a gold-tier mage set. As mid-tier equipment, the market price must be over 1 million coins, a dragon eye staff built for both attack and defense. Truly good stuff. The system notification popped up. Magic Defender Staff Rank Gold Description. Imbued with electric elemental effects can deal an additional 8% damage. 10% chance to trigger an additional electric shock damage. Next was the cloak. Magic Defender Robe Rank Gold Description. Once equipped, grants a layer of magic shielding. The shield can absorb health and block damage. Shield limit is 5% of health. His office lights were glowing bright. Lam Han loudly ordered the system, fast-track these 2 pieces of equipment for me. Upon hearing this, the system immediately replied, Understood. Please wait a moment. The system notified 2 pieces of equipment have been successfully boosted 10,000 times. Please check. The system displayed the notification, Staff of the Magic God Rank Legendary Description. Once equipped, grants a layer of magic shielding. The shield can absorb health and block damage. The shield limit is 100% of health. Lam Han's staff and robe transformed, turning a brilliant gold and increasing in power. The system continued to announce the staff details. Staff of the Magic God Rank Legendary Description, imbued with electric elemental effects, 100% chance to trigger an additional Earth Electric Field skill. Incredible! Note, due to equipment limits, the boost is capped at 100%. Lam Han saw this and purred with delight, thinking, Ha ha, I'm rich. The gear turned legendary in a flash, plus that 100% success rate. He stood before the system, clenched his fist, laughed triumphantly, and said, Since ancient times, mages have been melee fighters. From now on, call me. His shadow reflected on the wall as he jumped for joy, calling himself a melee dad. Lam Han sprawled out on his bed, looking at his phone, calculating that after level 10, he had to break through to the first stage. When breaking through, he absolutely had to absorb the source of an element. The system tipped him off that if he wanted to obtain an elemental source, he would have to charge into a disaster zone. He thought to himself, disaster zones, huh? Scrolling through his phone, he saw a netizen named Rich Advice comment. You're brave to go into a disaster zone. I respect you. You're a real man. I'll show you the way to the Sea Swamp Country. The Sea Swamp Country is formed by long coastlines and many volcanic islands. The shores there are teeming with monsters. Images of terrifying massive monsters flashed through his mind. Moreover, the sea gathers many storms, frequently spawning unimaginable natural disasters. Just then, a notification popped up on his phone. Wang Quang, a message was sent to you. The chat showed Wang Quang asking Lam Han to go level up together tomorrow. Lam Han refused, saying, I can't. Wang Quang asked why. He had specifically chosen a low-level monster dungeon where they were all level 1 to 5, most suitable for support classes to level up. Teaming up is slow, but safe. The university entrance exams are coming up soon. You have a great chance to get into a top university. Solo grinding is more efficient and levels you up faster, you know that. Wong Kwong sent a crying icon inside. Don't worry. My healer class might not be able to get past the first stage, but before level 11, running dungeons is no problem for me. Wait until you switch to the second stage, he continued. If you want to take me to fight mid-tier monsters later, I'm all for it. So is that a deal? After I hit the second stage, I'll go with you. Lam Han sent a cat icon shaking hands in agreement. After messaging, he secretly apologized. Brother, the sea swamp country is way too dangerous for someone like you who is only level 1. The phone clock showed 23:57, seeing that he said, it's already this late. Time to get some sleep. I hope everything goes smoothly tomorrow. The next morning at a high-rise building called the Teleportation Plaza, a voice announced, requesting departure to the sea swamp country. A hand slowly presented a ticket. It was Lam Han. Identity verified, permission to pass. A large blue portal opened. Lam Han in his mage outfit, and the staff in his hand slowly stepped inside. Wish you a safe journey. His hand passed through the light curtain. Lam Han had crossed the portal to another world. Just as he stepped through, he saw a warning sign and tried to read it. It said, be careful when hunting monsters, don't make your family shed tears. Ahead lies the silver frost poison frog. Below stage 2 entry prohibited. Lam Han muttered, looks like this place is full of danger the moment you arrive. He looked at the sign and shuddered, feeling a killing intent from behind. Behind him at this moment, a massive figure loomed with vicious blood-red eyes staring right at him. The giant monster with ferocious eyes let out an earth-shattering roar. Lam Han jumped in fright, turned his head at the sound of the monster and gasped, what the heck is that? Just then, sharp green stones slowly appeared in the sky. The giant monster below looked up too. In the blink of an eye, thousands of sharp stones plummeted to the ground at extreme speed. Seeing this, Lam Han quickly conjured a protective shield. Just before those sharp stones could pierce him after dodging the deadly attack, Lam Han looked at his staff happily and thought, this shield is a real lifesaver. It truly deserves the title of legendary tier equipment. Witnessing the scene just now, the giant monster's eyes turned even redder, as if to say it was absolutely furious. From the shadows, its true form revealed a green frog with blood-red eyes. It let out a deafening roar that shook everything around it. Lin Han, standing inside his defensive shield, struggled to withstand the sound waves from the frog's roar. Lin Han clutched his head in agony, his face pale and dripping with sweat. He groaned that his head felt like it was about to explode. The system flashed a warning, host be careful. The defensive shield only blocks physical and magical attacks. It cannot prevent mental damage. Hearing this, Lin Han confidently swung his staff behind his back and snorted coldly, who do you think you're looking down on? He raised his staff high and it erupted with a brilliant golden light that made his cloak flutter. Magical runes swirled around him as he shouted, the fleeting stream of life, the traveler's allure, the wrath of the gods, the call of the spirits, the intent of evil, the order of all living things. O great God of chaos, I am your devout follower. A massive fireball appeared in the sky, tearing through the air at high speed. Lin Han shouted commandingly, Forbidden Domain Chaos! The orb slammed into the ground. It created a terrifying explosion, scorching the surrounding plants and flowers a deep, fiery red. Mysterious footsteps slowly approached. A man in a hat looked at a notification board and reported in shock to the minister that the magical energy readings across Mooncrest City had hit the maximum limit. The minister glanced over. After hearing the report, the man in the hat asked anxiously if the enemy was launching an attack. Hearing this, the minister frowned and explained, Mooncrest City is located at the center of the coastal defense line. There are over 10 protective cities surrounding us. If we were being attacked, those cities would have sent a warning long before now. Entering the command center, a soldier stood up and saluted the minister. Seeing this, he hurriedly ordered the surveillance screens to be opened. On the main screen, a bright red circle appeared in the center. The minister ordered them to confirm with headquarters and ask if any powerful figures could control the forbidden beast. The soldier replied, yes, sir. At that very moment, a red warning message appeared on the screen, danger magic energy approaching. A soldier in front of the screen was on the phone reporting to his superiors. We request that Mooncrest City be declared in a state of combat readiness. Quickly identify the origin of the magic power and await further instructions. Meanwhile, outside, violent tsunamis were rolling in, accompanied by lightning tearing through the sky. The loudspeaker blared, "Attention citizens, the city is entering a state of combat readiness. Level 1 citizens, please evacuate your homes. Move in an orderly fashion to the designated evacuation centers within the city." Brutal waves had begun to lick at the high-rise buildings. Everyone was terrified. Watching the horrifying scene before the tsunami could swallow everything, a golden shield suddenly appeared, wrapping around and protecting the city. A robotic arm appeared to check if the protective layer was functioning normally. One person replied, "The first layer has successfully held. The danger behind us has been evacuated." Shouts rang out. Squads gathered awaiting orders, ready to deploy. Above the skyscrapers, the sky was filled with terrifying lightning. Lin Han's system displayed his equipment list, announcing that all rewards from this attack had been received. Lin Han looked at the system and smiled smugly. Even though it took a lot of experience to reach level 10, earning a whole bag of items like this is a good consolation prize. The system popped up. "Congratulations, host, you have received a skill book. Would you like to increase its speed 10,000 times? Hearing the notification, Lin Han's eyes lit up with excitement. "Oh, I even got this!" Of course, speed it up. The system displayed the info: name, God's Grace. No chant required. Type skill book. Grade forbidden spell. Description: the user does not need to chant the skill. It can cancel all previous casting animations. Directly release the grace granted by the gods without needing anyone to pray. After reading it, Lin Han thought to himself, this thing is truly arrogant, taking a life without even a single movement. It was practically invisible. Before he could enjoy his joy for long, his whole body swayed as if experiencing an earthquake. He looked toward a distant mountain that was exploding. Thick columns of red smoke billowed into the sky. Seeing this, he muttered, "Looks like I need to quickly go collect the fire and wind elements." Checking the system map, he determined, based on the direction shown, it must be over here. He jumped onto the volcanic ash. Looking down from above, he realized the eruption had turned all the monsters inside into dust. It looked like he wouldn't need to lift a finger. While searching, he discovered an orb floating in the very center. The orb emitted brilliant light and roaring flames. He cheered, "Found it, the fire element." He opened his system. The system prompted, "Do you want to store the fire element in your inventory?" Without hesitation, he tapped, "Yes." After tapping it, he put his hands on his hips and laughed. "I didn't expect the fire element to be this easy to get. Now on to find the wind element." At that moment, violent waves were rising on the sea. The water shook intensely, and the thunder in the sky roared back in response. Lin Han rode his magic staff, Magic, and flew toward a giant whirlpool. A beam of light emitted from the center of the storm. He concluded, "According to the map's instructions, the element must be in here." He flew straight into the whirlpool. A powerful force created a massive hole in the center of the vortex. Water exploded and splashed everywhere as he split the water in two. He slowly approached the large, glowing orb in the center and joyfully cheered, "Found it!" The coastline appeared with the sun setting slowly over the land and sea. High-Track Lam Han is looking at the item list in the system, contemplating that this time he hasn't just harvested 2 elemental sources from the disaster, but also countless herbs and gear. If this haul hits the trading market, it'll surely bring in a fortune. Just then, a streak of light flashes across the sky and Lam Han's voice rings out loud. "Mission accomplished. Time to go home." The city's giant screens are broadcasting images of a massive tsunami as an emergency siren blares, announcing that the city is at a level 1 alert. All transit stations are temporarily closed. Everyone is asked to evacuate according to staff instructions and quickly head to the shelters. Lam Han has just stepped out of the portal. He sees total chaos and is confused, not knowing what happened, as crowds of people run in every direction. Screams of terror ring out. "It's all over! It's a tsunami! Move aside! Don't block the way! You're the one who needs to move. Why are you shoving?" Lam Han walks slowly with a bewildered expression, not understanding what's going on, while a staff member nearby apologizes. "The transit paths are closed now." Hearing this, he turns to ask confused, "Closed, but I just got back." The attendant says panicked, "Ah, you're certainly lucky then. Please, hurry to the evacuation point with me." The attendant says this while pointing the way, telling him that since he just returned, He must not know that a mysterious force triggered a tsunami to strike Huinwit City, and everything is in total chaos right now. They say that force came from the High Track Nation. Hurry, I'll take you to safety. Hearing the attendant, he asks back, stunned, safety. His mind immediately clicks. A mysterious force from the High Track Nation? Isn't that the forbidden spell I just used? He grips his staff tightly and secretly blames himself, realizing his miscalculation of the forbidden spell's power had led to a tsunami that nearly wiped out all of Huinwit City. Without a second thought, he turns around and hurries back with a serious expression, ignoring the attendant calling out behind him, "Hey, passenger, where are you going? Hey!" Meanwhile, in Huinwit City, a massive green shield is stretching out to protect everything, and above the wall of life, people are pouring out all their strength. To maintain the city's defense, a soldier below shouts loudly, "Reporting to the minister, the situation is dire." The diagnostic machine shows the wall of life has reached its limit. There are only 5 minutes left until the next wave hits. The mayor, hearing this, shouts in shock, "What?" The minister immediately raises a hand to command, "Relay my order to all powerhouses above level 30 who have gathered. Get to the wall of life immediately. Also quickly call for help from neighboring cities. Huinwit needs it urgently. Do not delay." The soldiers beside him hear the order and shout in unison. Understood. At that moment, a massive crack appears on the city wall. The soldiers' voices ring out with determination. "We must hold the wall of life at all costs. Once we fail, Huinwit City will be destroyed by this disaster. In this battle, we shall not retreat one step." A loud roar echoes. "As long as we live, the city lives. As long as the city lives, we live." Over by the minister, a soldier in white screams in terror, "No, this is bad!" Seeing the wall of life cracking, he panics and yells, "What?" At that exact moment, the minister frowns, calculating if it has come to this. There is no other way but to take a gamble. He slams his hand down hard, creating a glowing golden magic circle, and orders, "Everyone hear my command. Use your magic to create a force, reverse the protective barrier. Before the tsunami strikes, shove it back for me. Do not hold back. Use every bit of your magic." The survival of Huinwit City is bet on this. The entire shield slowly reverses toward the tsunami. A loud, unified shout rings out, "Yes, sir." Someone collapses from exhaustion, gasping, I can't go on." Another tries to force out, "It's no use." The speed of the magic can't keep up with the speed of the tsunami. In the distance, a soldier screams, "Hey, hold on!" The mayor sees the scene. His face furrows, sweat pouring down as he gasps, "Ugh," and thinks in despair, "Is this it? Is Huinwit City going to vanish today?" From far away, a glowing staff points directly at them. A voice rings out like a song of blessing, and the soldiers who are running out of strength are instantly restored. They are stunned. "Wait, whose magic is this?" "Ooh, I feel my body suddenly overflowing with energy. I can't believe I've recovered." "Then let's get up and fight." By now, the shield has covered almost all of the aggressive tsunami. A voice rings out filled with hope. "Just a little more and we can control the waves." The shield has completely covered the fierce sea surge. The soldier's voice rings out filled with excitement. "Minister, the protective layer has successfully reversed. We've successfully contained the tsunami." The minister, hearing this, shouts loudly, "Hold the barrier for me. Those who still have strength, open a portal now. Throw it as far away as you can." The tsunami displacement begins as the shield slowly fades into nothingness. A loud announcement confirms the large-scale displacement was a success. Sea levels are dropping 10%, 50%. The surface has returned to its calm state. An announcement rings out that the waters have stabilized and the protective barrier is deactivated. The soldiers stare at the scene in front of them, stunned and speechless, whispering, It really worked." High in the sky, Lam Han is riding his staff. He looks down at the joyous scene below and shouts, "Oh yeah, haha, we did it!" With a charming smile on his face, Lam Han says softly, "Once the job is done," then sighs in relief. "That was too dangerous. I almost caused a huge disaster. The power of a forbidden spell is truly overwhelming. I have to be more careful from now on. I can't let something like today happen again." A ding sound comes from his pocket. His mother's voice echoes from the phone. "Little Han, are you okay? The tsunami hit just now and you weren't answering your phone. I was going crazy with worry." Lam Han thinks to himself, I forgot about that." He immediately reassures her, "Don't worry, Mom, I'm fine. I was in a shelter just now, so there was no signal. I'll be home soon." The sun slowly casts its warm light over the city, and an announcement echoes, "The danger has been resolved. Time to go home." Tomorrow I'll go to the job advancement hall to finish my level up quest, then hit the trade market to sell some herbs and improve life for mom and dad. The next morning at the job advancement hall, a voice calls out, "Hello, I'm here to accept a level 2 advancement quest. Please fill out this form first." Lam Han sits in front of the receptionist and says, "All done." The receptionist takes the paper back. "All right, I'll verify your information." She picks up the paper and reads, "Name Lam Han, age 18, status student, profession weak. A weak profession." After reading, the receptionist immediately puts on a look of contempt. There are 2 types of advancement quests, designated ones which are usually grade A or B and random ones. The grade is based on luck. Which one do you choose? A sign next to them reads, "Treating customers with friendliness and consistency," which is truly ironic. Lam Han timidly says, "A random quest." The receptionist brings out a blue orb and says, "Please place your hand on the crystal ball and channel your energy into it." The receptionist glances at him and thinks, probably another guy looking for a lucky break to get a low-level quest. She says, "Your result is ready. Your quest grade is..." A system notification pops up. System has selected a suitable quest. Advancement quest. Go to the underground city, find and kill the Abyssal Apostle, and obtain the Abyssal Heart. Quest grade S-grade quest. A loud, panicked scream rings out. The receptionist looks at him, stuttering, "This?" Before she can finish, Lam Han makes the call, "I accept." The receptionist lunges toward him and yells, "Hey, I recommend you pick again. For a weak profession, an S-grade quest is basically the same as walking to your death." Lam Han breaks into a cold sweat but remains firm. "It's fine. This quest will do." A voice says helplessly, "Fine, I'll process the quest for you then." The computer screen lights up. The mouse clicks on Accept. On the city's information board, a long list appears clearly stating the quest name, Abyssal Apostle. Requirements: go to the underground city, exterminate the Abyssal Apostle, obtain the Abyssal Heart. Grade S, recipient Lam Han, profession Life Priest, level Stage 1, level 10. Everyone nearby is shocked and starts whispering, "Who is this guy? He actually dared to accept such a dangerous quest. A Life Priest never heard of that. Could it be a hidden profession?" The receptionist's voice rings out, "Quest accepted successfully. Good luck to you." From behind him, a group of tough-looking guys steps forward. They look at Lam Han and call out, "Hey, pink-haired kid over there." A guy with a blue armband says, "Heard you accepted an S-grade quest. Team up with us. I guarantee you'll finish the quest easily." The bald guy looks at Lam Han with a smirk and asks, "What do you say?" 3 thugs approach him, looking at him with disdain. The bald guy in the middle, who seems to be the leader, tries to lure him in. "Team up with us and I guarantee you'll complete the quest." Seeing this, he finds them extremely annoying, so he frowns and waves his hand in refusal. "Sorry, not interested. I prefer being alone." Hearing this, the leader is surprised, then turns furious and yells, "You little brat!" He glares, raises his fist, and shouts, "If you won't drink the toast of friendship, then you'll drink the wine of punishment." Faced with his irrationality, Lam Han frowns in annoyance, turns around and kicks him straight in the face. Everyone around sees how powerful he is, and their eyes go wide as they whisper in confusion, "Are you kidding? This is a weak profession? That force is stronger than a normal warrior. What a terrifying monster." Over by the leader, his 2 henchmen see their boss getting overpowered like that and anxiously run over to ask, "Boss, are you okay?" Feeling humiliated and miserable for being beaten by a mere kid, he growls, "Damn it, beaten down by a weakling. I will definitely make you pay for this." One of the 2 henchmen eagerly says, "Boss, should we beat him up?" Faced with his subordinate's stupid question, the leader hits him on the head and scolds, "Is your brain filled with water? You can't just start fights in the city." The other henchman stands there, speechless, having to take the hit as well. The leader's face darkens and he sneers, watching the back of Lam Han as he walks away, thinking, "If I can't do it in the open, I'll play dirty. Kid, eventually I'll make you kneel and beg for mercy." At the trade market, Lam Han walks inside and asks the clerk, "Hello, I'd like to sell some equipment." The clerk sees a customer enter and smiles warmly. "Of course. Please follow me to room 2201. The receptionist welcomed him warmly. "Have a seat, please. May I ask what equipment you're looking to sell?" He then poured out a small mountain of shimmering gear. The girl was visibly startled. "So much! All of this?" But to him, this was nothing. He calmly replied, "This is the spot." Sensing he was a VIP client, the staff member said, "Please wait a moment, I need to get approval from the manager. The manager will handle this with you personally." A few minutes later, a well-dressed man walked up and said, "Master Lin, have you been waiting long?" He looked at him with a smile and greeted him, "Greetings. I am the manager of the trading district for Huingwiat City. My surname is Lu, a level 46 appraisal master." Hearing level 46, he was genuinely surprised. "Wow, I didn't expect a level 46 appraisal master. This trading district really lives up to its name as one of the most powerful guilds in the world. Truly hidden talents everywhere." Shortly after, the manager looked at the pile of items he had pulled out and said skillfully, "Master Lin, you are certainly generous to bring out so much equipment at once. I have just taken a look at this pile of common equipment. I can offer you 23 million. That is truly a fair price." Next, he placed 2 small swords on the table that looked quite unique and asked, "And what about these 2? The manager looked at the 2 short swords, picked them up to examine them, and said, "Master Lin, just a moment, let me check." Adjusting his glasses, he solemnly chanted, "Noble appraisal god, grant me the power to inspect all things. I shall honor you with the utmost respect. May you bless your follower to see through all things." After the appraisal was finished, he squinted with a smile and said, "Master Lin, I have finished appraising these 2. They seem to belong to a set. Though not the complete set, they are indeed legendary grade. If you agree to sell, I can offer 140 million. Hearing such a staggering price, he nodded immediately. The manager then handed him a black card and said, "This is the VIP black card of our trading industry. For any transaction in any city, you will always receive the highest level of treatment." He took the black card and replied happily, "Thank you, Manager Lu." As he headed toward the exit, he said to the manager, "By the way, I also want to buy some skill books." Hearing this, the manager replied enthusiastically, "Of course, certainly." Once the transaction was complete, he strode out confidently and opened his system menu. "System, help me level up quickly." Looking at his skill board, he muttered with satisfaction, "Very good. Now no danger can get close to me. Time to go do that underground city quest." Upon reaching the underground city intelligence center, the staff handed him a map and said, "Sir, this is all the information on the Abyss Apostles in the vicinity. Welcome." He took the map and headed inside, thinking to himself, "This underground city used to be crawling with monsters. I never expected it to be so bustling now." Suddenly he sensed killing intent. Killing intent. It's not strong, just small fry. I won't worry about it. Finding the Abyss Apostle comes first. As he walked behind the wall, the figure of the bald man from earlier appeared smirking maliciously, as if he had evil intentions. Deep in the abyss. Apostle's territory, he told himself. According to the map, this is its latest location. Suddenly, the shadow of a giant monster appeared, stomping on the ground, startling him. Seeing an intruder in its territory, the monster let out a thunderous roar. Seeing the monster, he couldn't help but complain, "You're hideous, so ugly, I'm just gonna have to end you." He then cast a spell, striking it with a bolt of lightning, charring the monster into a slab of meat. Just as he was sure it was over, the monster unexpectedly restored its original form and lunged at him in a rage, swinging its fist. Seeing the crushing blow coming right in front of him, he quickly leaped back quite a distance, frowning and grumbling. "So strong, my health took a hit of 1,800. My level 10 ice poison frog skill didn't even deal 800 damage. Suddenly a strange scream came from afar. "You arrogant brat! Before the Abyss Apostle, you're just a small fish." He turned his gaze toward the voice, frowning in anger. "It's you guys. The trash from the 3 Societies mercenary team." On the other side, the bald man held a sword. He walked up arrogantly with his henchmen and boasted, "You're too full of yourself. A weak class player daring to touch the Abyss Apostle, plus I've done my research. You have several tens of millions in assets. All of that is going to be mine now, ha ha." Hearing the man's arrogance, he glared at him. "You know I have a lot of money and you still dare to make a move. You guys are really tired of living, aren't you?" The bald man didn't seem to know what fear was. Even while being attacked by the monster, he calmly said, "Dead man walking and still running your mouth." He then swung his blade. Shredding the monster into hundreds of pieces, he continued to brag, "I am a Tier 2 expert. Dealing with a level 10 monster is a piece of cake." He then pointed his sword straight at him. He laughed cunningly. "Plus, who would know if I killed you in this godforsaken place?" He darkened his expression, glanced at the two henchmen, and cast a spell. Time's up. Forbidden spell. Fall into corruption. Behind him, the two henchmen fell under the curse and picked up sharp knives. Their eyes flashed blood red as if they were being controlled. They trudged toward their boss with intense bloodlust, muttering, "Kill, kill!" The boss saw his henchmen acting strange and panicked. Breaking into a sweat, he stammered, What do you guys think you're doing?" "What are you doing?" One of the two henchmen suddenly lunged and hacked wildly at him. Thinking they wanted a bigger cut, he dodged the blows and screamed, "Are you guys crazy? If you want money, just tell me, we can talk it over." But the two men were like lost souls. Deaf to his pleas, they attacked furiously, screaming. The man panicked, his face turning pale, and he waved his knife around in fear. "Fine, I'll give you half more. Don't be so greedy." Seeing it had no effect, he pointed his sword at them. "You guys are trying to threaten me. You've got a death wish, don't you?" Suddenly, they lunged at each other. One of the henchmen grabbed the guy's arm and bit down until blood started streaming out, while the other wasn't holding back either, latching onto his leg and taking a massive chunk out of it. The bald guy was terrified, stumbling backward in pain. Then he looked at me, stuttering, It was you! Did you bribe them?" I just curled my lip into a smug smile and replied, "You idiot, you still haven't figured out that I've had them under my control this whole time." The bald guy broke into a cold sweat, his face pale with disbelief. "No way. You're just a level 10 healer." How could this be?" Watching him, I gave a cold chuckle, raised my magic staff, and started chanting while saying, "Who told you a healer couldn't do this? Forget it. This is the final act I prepared just for you. Enjoy it. Domain of Chaos." As the words left my lips, a lightning bolt crashed down, turning him and his two henchmen into dust. Before he vanished, he let out a desperate final scream. Who exactly are you?" I ignored his screaming and calmly walked out of the cave. Unlike the gloomy atmosphere inside, the sun outside was shining brightly, as if welcoming me back. Suddenly, a ground-shaking roar echoed from behind. I turned around to see the cave collapsing completely. Staring at the scene, I couldn't help but sigh. Didn't I use a forbidden spell? Is this underground city made of tofu or something? Why is it so fragile? The scene shifts to the Yaoyue Magic Monitoring Department, where an employee stares at the screen mouth, agape. "Oh my God, what is happening?" A loud crash came from outside. A well-dressed man looking like an executive stormed in furiously, shouting, "What is it this time?" The employee dodged quickly. He pointed at the screen, which was flashing red, and stammered, "A terrifying energy surge is coming from the underground city. I'm afraid it's a forbidden spell. The city could collapse at any moment." The executive slammed his hand on the desk, leaving a dent, and roared, "Damn it! Does this powerhouse have nothing better to do with their time? First a tsunami. Now they're trying to flatten the entire underground city. What the hell is that guy even trying to do?" The employee heard him and stuttered, "So, what should we do now?" The executive gritted his teeth and ordered, "Call the mayor immediately! What are you standing there for?" He grabbed the phone and reported, "Mayor, the underground city is on the verge of collapsing at any moment. It's about to collapse. For the safety of all our classes, we must evacuate immediately." The mayor heard the news and replied, startled, "I understand. I'm authorizing you to organize a rescue team. Act now. Hurry, hurry, hurry." The executive looked angry but stayed professional. "Yes, sir. But Chief, this happened right when the students just awakened. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Don't worry, I'll report this to the higher-ups and ask for support from a supreme powerhouse. You just focus on saving the people. Tanho, the future of Yaoyue City is in your hands." Once finished, Tanho shouted, "All units assemble, move to the underground city." Hearing the order, the entire squad in uniform rushed out of the room, heading straight for the scene. The scene shifts inside the underground city, where people were fleeing in a panic. Someone screamed, "Run! The underground city is collapsing." Seeing that the situation was dire, I told myself, no, this can't happen. If these people die because of me, I'll feel guilty for the rest of my life. Thinking of that, I continued casting the forbidden spell, Guardian Angel. This was a forbidden spell capable of automatically reviving flesh and blood creatures that had recently died, though it didn't work on elements or undead. As the spell activated, green light instantly lit up across the entire city. Someone who thought they were done for suddenly jumped up dazed, asking himself, "Wait, I'm not dead." At this moment, the squad led by Tanho finally arrived to rescue them, shouting, "Hurry time is life." While rescuing a victim, the person whispered, "Just now, I think I saw an angel, she was so beautiful. Tanho didn't seem to care, just looking into the distance, gritting his teeth. That blasted powerhouse. Don't let me catch you or I'll show you what I can do. I slipped past him and was terrified to see him fuming with rage. In my head, I chanted, "You can't see me! You can't see me!" I'm screwed. This was a huge mistake. I need to finish my job change and clear out of here fast. At the job change center, I rushed to the female employee and said eagerly, "Miss, I finally found you. Let's get started right away." The employee, seeing that I was handsome, turned bright red and stammered, "Here. Right now? No way, I'm not mentally prepared yet." Realizing she had completely misunderstood, I quickly held up the power measurement orb, smiling awkwardly. "I just want to change my job. Don't make things so awkward, please." The employee was stunned, then turned beet red and said, "Huh, I didn't expect you wouldn't be interested in my beauty, you jerk. Wait, you already finished the Abyss Apostle quest. That fast." People around us heard that and were shocked. "You're kidding, right? The Abyss Apostle just appeared and it's already been defeated." Everyone nearby jumped in shock, thinking, "Are you kidding me? The Abyss Apostle just showed up and already got beaten." "What kind of monster is this guy?" Someone marveled. "He must be a hidden master groomed by some major family." "Inscrutable," he thought, feeling like screaming inside. "Stop complimenting me, I don't want any attention at all." But on the outside, he just scratched his head and gave a goofy smile to cover it up. No way, I just got lucky. I just happened to run into two masters fighting and managed to snag a piece of the action." The onlookers frowned, some even pulling at their hair in jealousy. "This kid is so damn lucky. When will I ever find someone to carry me like that? I want to jump on that bandwagon too," he thought, seeing that his cover-up worked. He secretly thought, thank goodness. Having dodged that bullet, he turned to the clerk and urged, "Beautiful, could you please rush my promotion process? I'm in a huge hurry." The clerk turned up her nose haughtily. Fine, let's go get you promoted." After it was done, he felt ecstatic looking at his system stats. As expected, the second promotion is on a whole different level compared to the first. It's like night and day. System boost this 10,000 times for me. Feeling the abundant magical energy in his body, he was thrilled. This is amazing. This is the ultimate defensive and evasion skill. I've got to find a better dungeon to farm gear next time. As soon as he stepped outside, he saw people running around in a panic, their faces full of urgency. He grabbed a random guy and asked, "Hey bro, what's going on? Why is everyone acting so crazy?" The guy replied in fear, "This time it's for real. Minister Tanho suspects a supreme-level powerhouse has appeared, and he's interrogating everyone one by one. The pressure is terrifying." Hearing Tanho's name, he broke into a cold sweat and lamented internally. "Good thing I just finished my second promotion. He's looking for a supreme-level powerhouse. Who would ever suspect that a supreme-level powerhouse could be related to a kid who just hit his second promotion like me?" Suddenly, the large screen broadcast an announcement. "Attention! Everyone starting today, the underground city will be locked down for repairs. Furthermore, for safety reasons, no one is allowed in or out." Watching Tanho make the announcement on the screen, he was heartbroken. "If they don't let me leave the city, where am I supposed to get materials for the third promotion?" Lam Han turned into an association. "Walking while calculating, I'm under house arrest now. Can't go out to look for materials. The only way is to find Director Lu and try my luck." Seeing him arrive, Director Lu was as happy as if he'd struck gold and greeted him warmly. "Lam, I didn't expect to see you again so soon." "Quick, have a seat." A female employee quickly placed a cup of hot tea in front of him. "Mr. Lam, please enjoy your tea." Director Lu pulled out a catalog and introduced it. "This is our list of goods. Mr. Lam, just pick whatever you like and I'll give you a 10% discount." Lam Han closed the book, took a sip of tea, and stated, "Get me 20 sets of each and 10 magic scrolls." Placing the book on the table, he lowered his voice. "Oh, and Director Lu, I want to ask for some information." Director Lu patted his chest in assurance. "Mr. Lam, don't worry. The information from my trading firm is always the real deal." Lam Han spoke directly. "To be honest, I need the origin of the disaster." Hearing this request, Director Lu looked troubled. "This." Seeing the old man stuttering, he pressed, "You don't have it." Director Lu hurriedly explained, "No, it's just that the origin of the disaster is extremely rare. Even information on where to buy it is non-existent." He smiled and said, "I understand. What if I trade an epic-grade piece of equipment for it?" Director Lu's eyes lit up. "Mr. Lam, you're a VIP. You're being too formal. Recently, the city of Junguit is having an auction, and there will be information about it there." He thought to himself. Waiting for the auction will take too long. I might as well find a place to grind levels and craft gear first. He pretended to be unhappy and said, Director Liu doing business like this is not okay. Even if I don't buy this news, it will come out sooner or later. I'm paying you an epic grade item for it after all. The old crook wore a greedy smile. Don't worry. How could I let a loyal customer lose out? Bring the item out here. A moment later, the employee brought out an object covered by a white cloth. Director Liu pulled the cloth away. Go ahead and examine it, sir. The shimmering light radiating from the object left him stunned. He couldn't help but exclaim, It's so bright, could this be? The object revealed was a round sphere. Old Director Liu continued, Exactly, this is the legendary teleportation array for the Silver Tier Advancement Dungeon. With this, you can bring one person into the Silver Tier Dungeon and enjoy the feeling of leveling up in a flash. He held the item in his hand and clicked his tongue. Director Liu, not bad. A Silver Tier dungeon is rare and hard to find. You can't necessarily buy one even if you have the money. The old man rubbed his hands together, grinning from ear to ear. Well, Mr. Lamb, are you satisfied with our service? He gave the old man a thumbs up and said happily, Satisfied, I'm absolutely delighted, Director Liu. You really are a good brother. After closing the deal, old Liu and his staff saw Lam Han all the way to the door. Once he was out of sight, the employee asked, Director, the Silver Tier dungeon ticket is worth its weight in gold. Did we lose out by trading it 1-for-1? He watched the boy's retreating figure and said triumphantly, How the hell could I lose? I felt his energy was much stronger than last time. If he needs the origin of the disaster for his promotion, it's very likely I'm about to witness the second promotion ceremony. This investment is a steal. Leaving that place, he went to the central hall pondering. The Silver Tier dungeon can take 2 people. Who should I invite? As he was thinking, his phone rang. Seeing Vuong Quang's name, he chuckled to himself. Speak of the devil. As soon as he picked up, Vuong Quang started rambling, Hello, hey brother, you remember me. He teased back, Oh my, look who's calling. A busy guy like you actually has free time to call me today. Vuong Quang, holding a skewer in one hand and chewing with his mouth full, replied, I was thinking of asking you to form a team to fight monsters. Damn, I can't believe the city is actually on lockdown. Just needed to vent a little. I'm currently stuffing my face to drown out the sadness. I was just taking a gulp of beer when I nearly choked after hearing Lam Han say, Stop talking about me helping you level up. I've got this sweet deal instead. Ever heard of a Silver Tier dungeon portal? Vuong Quang spat out his beer and yelled, No way, which sugar mama's keeping you, man? You actually managed to find something that rare? Maybe you should introduce your brothers to her so we can get a piece of the action. His sugar mama comment made Lam Han roll his eyes so hard that everyone around them started staring like they were aliens. Stop talking crap, Lam Han snapped. Are you going or not? Vuong Quang quickly replied, Of course I'm going. What time and where? Lam Han gave the final word, 9 a.m. tomorrow at the Silver Dungeon entrance. Don't be late or I'm leaving you behind. Vuong Quang shouted in excitement. Deal. You're a real jerk keeping a sweet deal like this all to yourself. The next morning at the entrance to the Silver Tier dungeon, a long line of people stretched out. Upon seeing Vuong Quang, Lam Han smirked. You're pretty early, huh, what? Did hearing Silver Tier dungeon get you all fired up? Vuong Quang admitted defeat and replied, I just came to see what the sugar mama keeping you looks like. I didn't see a single soul wasted my early wake-up call, man. Lam Han was speechless and just shook his head. He really couldn't handle this guy. Lam Han walked up, wrapped his arm around Vuong Quang's neck, and put him in a headlock. He squeezed hard and growled, If you want to die, just say the word and I'll grant your wish right now. While the two were joking around, a group of people came marching aggressively from the distance. One of them called out, Well, 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 look who I found here. Isn't this the top genius of the whole school from back in the day? A guy with orange hair mocked him. Ha ha ha, hilarious. A support class scrub like you. What right do you have to step into a Silver Tier dungeon? Hearing them insult his friend, Vuong Quang rolled up his sleeves, ready to brawl with them. The guy who greeted him earlier started taunting Vuong Quang again. I'll give you some sincere advice bringing a dead weight like him into a Silver Tier dungeon. If you die in there, we'll be sure to pick up your corpses. Ha ha ha! Vuong Quang was furious and shouted at Lam Han. Lam Han, let me go. I have to fight this guy to the death. You raised a hand to stop Vuong Quang and calmly advised him. Don't bother wasting your time with trash. Just looking at these guys, you can tell they're weak. Hearing that the guy lost his temper and barked, Trash! You better watch your mouth. I'm a second awakening master. Wait, the previous line was part of the dialogue correcting flow. Trash, you better watch your mouth. I'm a second awakening master. You just smirked with contempt. Het trash who just got provoked and is already showing his true colors. And you expect me to respect you guys? As if hit where it hurts. He gritted his teeth. What are you trying to say, huh? Speak clearly if you've got something to say. Lam Han didn't even care about him, eyes fixed on the dark, deep cave. What's the matter still not going in? The person behind the scenes not far away, a figure was skulking closer. A group of people quickly surrounded Lam Han and Vuong Quang, but it looked like a few small fries like these weren't even worth their attention. A confident smile remained on their faces. Lam Han greeted them in a friendly manner. Cao Sung, it's only been a few days and you're already looking this pathetic. He seemed to be mocking the opponent for having to bring such a large mob just to regain his courage. Cao Sung, the guy with slicked-back purple hair, gelled into place. His outfit looked flashy, but it came with an obnoxious, arrogant face. He looked just like one of those rich, empty-headed brats who only knows how to rely on his family. Cao Sung glared back defiantly. Already provoking me and now you want to goad me too? He tried to put pressure on Lam Han. Did I say something wrong? A support class loser who can't even level up daring to enter a silver tier dungeon, isn't that just asking for death? The lackeys behind him looked fierce and not at all friendly. Cao Sung spread his arms and turned to incite the protagonist's best friend Vuong Quang. I advise you to team up with someone else. It would be better. Not only was he arrogant and mocking, but he also intended to break up Lam Han's party, truly a typical villain from the legends. Vuong Quang had been friends with Lam Han since they were kids. Seeing his friend getting trashed like that, he absolutely wouldn't let it slide and was ready to rush in to teach that riffraff a lesson they'd never forget. Lam Han, don't stop me today. I have to beat that guy. Don't stop me. Today until his teeth hit the floor before I'll be satisfied. What a guy with a lot of nerve. However, he was stopped by the very friend he wanted to protect. Lam Han quickly reached out to block his friend and said gratefully, "Thanks, brother. But for this kind of face-slapping business, it's better if I handle it myself." Vuong Quang was scowling and still felt very frustrated, but he didn't charge in anymore. The red-haired guy Cao Sung's lackey grabbed his sword aggressively. He charged in bitter and yelling, "You don't take us seriously, do you? Go to hell." With zero effort, Lam Han effortlessly flicked the sword right out of the guy's hand. Vuong Quang was already way too used to seeing this kind of boss move. It was clear that guy wasn't even worth their time. Lam Han's overwhelming level left him scared out of his mind. How could someone like that even exist? Lam Han grabbed the redhead by the collar, leaving him looking absolutely stunned and confused, before hurling him straight into Cao Sung's crew like a bowling ball. He shouted, "Strike!" If this were actual bowling, Lam Han would have scored a perfect game. The four of them went flying in a pathetic heap, while the orange-haired and black-haired guys from Cao Sung's faction were horrified. "No way!" He didn't even use any skills, did he? His physical stats are way past the normal limit. And he's a support class. How can someone in that class be this much of a beast? The two guys trembled as they watched their buddies spitting blood on the ground. The price for looking down on a support class was steeper than they thought. Lam Han charged forward, iron fist aimed straight for Cao Sung. Trembling in fear, Cao Sung cowered and stuttered, "Don't you come over here!" Then Cao Sung got to experience the bitter outcome of messing with the wrong people. He was tied tight to a massive boulder, crying out in misery. He begged, "Lam Han, Vuong Quang, I was wrong. Please, you two just let me down." Vuong Quang mocked him, "Not a chance, pal. Until you actually realize what you've done wrong, just stay up there and enjoy the view. Lam Han, let's go." After blowing off some steam, the two of them walked away with a grin, leaving him behind. Cao Sung sobbed in absolute humiliation. "Lam Han, Vuong Quang, I swear I'll never forgive you." He was tied up like a Vietnamese rice cake with no way to break free. Becoming a target for everyone's criticism for a prideful guy like him, there was no punishment more brutal than this. A passerby muttered, "Man, that's pathetic. A noble son getting taken down by a support class guy." Another passerby chimed in, "Good thing he's not my kid. Otherwise I'd die of embarrassment." Lam Han and Vuong Quang stepped through the portal, the scenery shifting instantly from a dreamy forest to a desolate, ruined battlefield where dry bones lay scattered across yellow sand. "Those are the undead soldiers," Vuong Quang remarked. "So this is the ancient battlefield, huh? Doesn't look like much, does it?" Lam Han warned him cautiously. "These aren't your typical low-level mobs from the starter village. Better stay sharp." No sooner had he finished speaking than a bony hand shot up from the dirt, grabbing Vuong Quang's ankle. He jumped, startled. What, do they even know how to set up an ambush? Lam Han was taken aback too. Seeing this as his golden opportunity to prove himself, Vuong Quang shouted, Lam Han, stand back. My job class is a card master. No monster is getting near me. As he spoke, he summoned 2 glowing golden cards. They flashed with lightning-like brilliance, looked pretty powerful. Lam Han stood quietly behind his friend, fully trusting him and waiting for the show. In a blink, the undead were blown to smithereens. Vuong Quang laughed proudly. See that, brother? Now that is true power. Lam Han strolled over from a distance, dragging a zombie behind him with one hand, while a mountain of smaller and larger zombies lay motionless, stacked up behind him. He chuckled to his best friend, who was riding high on his own confidence. That was really strong, only a tiny bit slower than me. Vuong Quang was totally triggered, unable to reconcile his friend's strength with his class. Completely ignoring the logic, he pointed right in his teammate's face and yelled, Brother, the scene you're creating right now is just wrong on so many levels. Since when can you solve these things with your fists? You're actually a hidden melee fighter, aren't you? Lam Han wasn't the least bit surprised by this reaction. He laughed it off and explained, I'm a healer with natural-born divine strength. What's so weird about that? If I weren't worried about the government finding out I could just cast one forbidden spell and wipe this whole map clean. With that, he tossed the zombie aside like trash, acting like it was no big deal. The power was truly terrifying. Vuong Quang stood there looking awkward. Just had to accept it. I mean, who told my best friend to be such a monster? But being too relaxed is boring too. Vuong Quang sighed gloomily. I suddenly feel a bit useless. With those insane physical stats, you could just give yourself a hammer and clear this entire dungeon solo. Seeing the team's morale dropping, Lam Han put an arm around his friend, smiling as he said, All right, stop moping around. Let's pick up the pace and level up. And you take care of clearing the path ahead, and I'll cover the rear. Vuong Quang quickly perked up, placing a hand on his chest with confidence. No problem, just leave it all to me. Vuong Quang immediately began casting his spell. Eyes shut tight, arms spread wide, chanting under his breath. Divine thunder cleanse these sinners of their sins. Mystical brown cards instantly appeared around him, and his magic bombarded the skeletons, making them scream in agony amidst the fierce lightning bolts. The strikes kept coming down. Once everything was settled, Vuong Quang stood next to Lam Han, stretching his arms out to relax, and exclaimed, We leveled up really fast this time. Before he could finish his sentence, Vuong Quang suddenly wondered, Lam Han, what's wrong? At that exact moment, as if sensing imminent danger, Lam Han grabbed Vuong Quang by the shirt and dragged him away. Completely bewildered and not understanding what was happening, Vuong Quang shouted, Lam Han, do you even see me as a human being? A giant axe slammed down exactly where the two had been standing, sending rocks and debris flying. Lam Han turned back to observe while Vuong Quang stared in horror at the terrifying scene before him. A horned monster with 5 massive axes stood towering before them, roaring in anger. Seeing this, Vuong Quang standing nearby marveled, Lam Han, next time I really have to call you Brother Han. You managed to spawn a hidden boss. That is absolutely top tier. Lam Han immediately stepped in front of Vuong Quang to protect him, his expression turning serious. Be careful, this one isn't simple. Standing behind him, Vuong Quang reassured him, Don't worry, I'll provide long-range support to wear its stamina down first. Wait, hold on. Before Vuong Quang could finish his sentence, Lam Han had already darted off like an arrow toward the fierce monster. Vuong Quang stood behind, flailing his arms around and shouting loudly, Are you kidding me, hey? Lam Han and the horned monster were now locked in a fierce battle. The monster's axe blade bore down with the force of 1,000 pounds. He used his magic staff to parry the blow and shouted back, What are you standing there for? Hurry up and use your magic to attack. Immediately, Vuong Quang's magic circle appeared above the monster's head. The monster roared Gruah, and a powerful attack sent Lam Han reeling backward. He tried to brace himself as Vuong Quang saw the critical situation and shouted, Lam Han, hurry back here. I've got this guy almost out of health. I'm about to unleash my ultimate move to finish it off. The monster had been so severely wounded it was spewing blood. It went into a frenzy, swinging its axe wildly, cutting down the surrounding trees with its sheer force. Swooshing through the air, Lam Han suddenly plunged down from high above, staff in hand, like an angel. The crowd was sweating bullets, gasping in disbelief. Holy cow, he's fast, I can only see after images. The guy next to him darkened, looking sour. This Lam Han is ridiculously fast. He hasn't even got a single scratch yet. Is this the level of a top-tier master? An old man sitting in the stands nodded, sighing in admiration. Such incredible physical stats and lightning-fast reflexes. And yet he's a healer. That's so interesting. And honestly, so infuriating. Back to the arena, that guy Cao Sung was panting, his limbs trembling and drenched in sweat. "No way! How can you dodge all my attacks?" Hearing him whine, Lam Han just shrugged indifferently. "That lightning speed you're so proud of, in my eyes, it's slower than a turtle." Below, a guy laughed out loud and pointed straight at Cao Sung. "Why so quiet now? You were barking so loud a second ago. Now you're dead silent. I'm not used to this." Cao Sung, furious, pointed a finger at Lam Han. "Ref, check him sneakily, report him. This guy's definitely on some kind of PEDs. Seeing his arrogant attitude, the referee got hot-headed, pointed straight at him and barked, "That's enough! Under my watch, no one cheats. If you're out of tricks, I'm calling a loss for you." Hearing this, he jumped up in a rage, starting to channel his internal energy to unleash a killing blow. "No, I haven't lost. I still have my trump card." With that, he aimed his sharp blade straight at him and screamed, "Eat this." He lunged his blade, spinning rapidly in a spiral attack. "Lam Han, you're finished!" Seeing him pull his ultimate move, Lam Han immediately got into a defensive stance. Suddenly, the referee lunged in, signaling a stop and blocking Cao Sung's attack. The situation looked extremely serious, seeing that he frowned, seeming to understand the problem. Cao Sung, looking as clueless as a cow wearing a hat, jumped off the arena and started blaming the ref. "I had him. I was about to win. Why the hell did you stop me?" The referee glared daggers at him, frowning angrily. "If I hadn't stepped in, you'd have been skewered through the heart and died right there." "What? Do you want to get a taste of being knocked right off the planet?" Hearing that, Cao Sung felt his legs go weak and collapsed helplessly to the ground. The referee loudly declared, "The winner is Lam Han." That guy, Vuong Quang, looked at him full of resentment, refusing to accept it. He rushed over, pointed his sword at him, and screamed, "No, I don't accept this!" Before he could finish, he unleashed a lightning-fast counterattack, delivering a godlike punch that sent him sinking deep into the ground, cracking the arena floor. Looking at the pathetic loser on the floor, he frowned. "You don't know your own limits. I clearly let you off, yet you still want to choose death." Seeing this, the referee's eyes went wide. With that kind of raw strength, he's really a healer. Hearing that, he winked confidently. "The real deal, guaranteed quality, no returns needed." He looked at Vuong Quang, who was flattened on the ground, frowned, and stepped on him contemptuously. "Get up. Stop playing dead. I barely touched you. Aren't you humbled yet?" After that, 2 medics came over, loaded him onto a stretcher, and hauled him away. Feeling humiliated and ashamed, he raised his fist and screamed in despair, "Lam Han, a man's revenge is never too late. Even if it takes 15 years, I will definitely defeat you." Stepping off the arena, Vuong Quang laughed heartily and slapped him on the shoulder hard. "You're truly my ride-or-die brother. You made me look so good out there." Seeing his friend so excited, he put his arm around his neck and playfully pushed his head down. "You idiot." "Ow, that hurts." Vuong Quang winced, holding up both hands in surrender. "I know I'm wrong, boss. I'm sorry." Right at that moment, the loudspeaker blared, "Vuong Quang Trong Tu Van Tu Jami Lu Van. Van, hurry up to the arena. Any delay and you're disqualified." All eyes immediately turned to the arena. Hearing Vuong Quang's name called, Lam Han was surprised. "Oh, does this round have a battle royale too? Don't you dare lose." Vuong Quang gave a thumbs-up signal. "Don't worry. Just sit back and watch the show." Getting onto the arena, Vuong Quang confidently summoned his magic full of spirit. "Come on, let's get it on, everyone. Let's trash this arena together." The black-haired opponent across from him saw how powerful Vuong Quang was and signaled the 2 girls. "I didn't expect to run into a level 10 card master. He's a tough nut to crack. How about we team up to take him out first, then we can decide the winner later?" The pink-haired girl innocently replied, "I'm a support healer. As long as I can use my skills, I'm happy to play with whoever." The black-haired guy nodded, looking dangerous. That makes sense. As soon as he finished, he suddenly lunged and backstabbed the pink-haired girl without mercy. In that case, let's eliminate the variable of you first to save the trouble. The poor girl was seriously wounded. She collapsed, screaming out, "Ah!" Deciding to deal with the healer, the black-haired guy turned to threaten the remaining girl, Tu Jiamai. "Now you have no choice but to stand with Vuong Quang, right? What do you say, Tu Jiamai, are you with me, or—" Seeing how ruthless he was, Tujiyama was terrified, ignoring the girl who was still bleeding. I'm with you. The black-haired guy smirked triumphantly. Very good. Who's next? Before he could finish his sentence, a sharp card flew past his face. He jumped, turned to Vuong Quang and barked, "Why are you stopping me? This is a single-match arena." Vuong Quang frowned with contempt. "Just because she wanted to stand with me, you turn on her like that? I hate cowardly people like you." The black-haired guy laughed like a maniac and lunged. "Ha ha ha, then I'll send you on your way first." He smirked, provoking him. "Oh, talking big already. You think you can actually take me down?" Suddenly, from a distance, the black-haired girl trembles as she chants, "I am a hypnotist and this is my technique. Your strength is completely drained." Vuong Quang suddenly feels dizzy and faint, his limbs going limp. He cries out, "Why does my body feel so heavy?" Seeing the golden opportunity, the black-haired guy lunges forward thinking, "I'm a master of cards after all. Letting someone get that close is game over, kid. I win this round." The assassin strikes in a flash, but Vuong Quang manages to summon a card to block the blade just in time. Immediately after, the card strikes back, sending the guy flying several meters away. "What the hell?" Vuong Quang drops to one knee, clutching his arm, weak but still smiling. "You calculated wrong, buddy. My cards don't just attack. They've got a hell of a defense, too." Under the stands, the white-haired old man smiles in satisfaction. "Excellent! Using a defensive card and countering in the blink of an eye, such incredible talent." The white-haired old man next to him strokes his beard in agreement. "Indeed. With proper training, he'll surely become a mighty warrior. A great year for new talent, isn't it?" Back on the arena floor, Vuong Quang unleashes skills like a storm. Now keep your eyes peeled and witness the true power of a cardmaster. Lightning, fire, water, wind, light, take it all. The black-haired girl starts her tricks again. "Divine armor, grant me power. I'll make you dizzy so you can't even hit my shadow." Vuong Quang's situation is hanging by a thread, but the black-haired guy remains arrogant and triumphant. He cackles, "Well done if you can't hit me. You're just a sitting duck." A target practice dummy for me. Vuong Quang thinks fast. If his eyes are being tricked, he'll just close them and use a wide area attack to cover the whole arena. Let's see you run from this. 5 cards rise up and a blast of firepower blows everything away. The black-haired girl is blasted out of the arena. The referee shouts loudly, "GMI is eliminated! Only 2 fighters left on the floor now!" He smirks. "Now it's just you. Think you still have the chance to win?" The black-haired guy retorts stubbornly, "Ha! You're already beaten to a pulp! Let's see how much longer you can stand!" He points his sword and lunges, but Vuong Quang immediately controls his cards to form, a giant shield protecting his back. Suddenly a voice rings out, "Seems you two forgot about me, didn't you?" Behind the shield, the pink-haired girl is praying earnestly. "Spring goddess, please grant your blessing. Transmutation thread, transfer the pain." As the magic is cast, Vuong Quang's body heals at lightning speed, as if he was never injured. The black-haired guy's jaw drops in shock, failing to notice 2 fire-type cards sneaking up behind him. Vuong Quang takes a stance. "This time you're definitely going down." The final rotation of the 5 cards triggers, and a massive fireball explodes across the arena. The black-haired guy is scorched black and suffers severe burns. The referee loudly announces the winner. Lam Han jumps onto the arena and proudly slings an arm around Vuong Quang. "Not bad, brother. Not only did you win, but also—" Suddenly a familiar voice rings out from behind. "Vuong Quang, thank you, but you're going to be in a world of pain in a minute." Vuong Quang turns back to look at the pink-haired girl and gallantly replies, "It's nothing, it's what oh wait, what?" A wave of agony rips through his soul, making him tremble and collapse to his knees. The pink-haired girl says apologetically, "I'm so sorry, the transmutation thread only shifts the injuries temporarily. Afterward, it returns twofold. Seeing you in so much pain makes me feel so guilty. I will definitely take responsibility and heal you." Lam Han sees the romantic scene and laughs mischievously. Well, I'm still here. I'm carrying you on my back and you're busy flirting. I feel like a total third wheel." Vuong Quang pleads tearfully, "Brother Han, save me, don't leave me." He stands up, turns his back, and walks away. "Get ready for the next round. Just enjoy the moment. I'm not a third wheel." The pink-haired girl's face turns bright red while Vuong Quang stammers in despair, No, don't talk nonsense. We're just, hey, get back here, you jerk." An hour later, the referee announces loudly that the second round has officially begun, featuring contestants Lam Han, Trungba Tien Dole, and Hosin. At the same time, the contestants step onto the stage one by one. In the tense atmosphere, one of the three opponents speaks up. Lam Han, you are indeed very strong because of that. The three of us have reached a decision. We will eliminate you first, then settle who's the winner among ourselves. He hears this and laughs, looking quite amused. You guys aren't capable of that, are you? Lam Han stands tall in the center, surrounded by the trio Trungba, Tien Dole, and Hosin. The three of them shout in unison, taking a defensive stance. Then here we come. Du Lo reaches out and shouts, Venerable archer, God grant me the power to pierce all things. As she speaks, a brilliant glowing golden bow appears in her hand. She pulls the bowstring taut, aiming directly at Lam Han. He calmly observes and evaluates, then says, I didn't expect a rare class like an archer. It's just a shame. He squints confidently. With my speed, I have plenty of room to dodge your attack. Du Lei doesn't flinch hearing that. She just sneers. Then let's see if you can dodge a wide-area attack. With that, she releases the bowstring. Thousands of arrows of light instantly appear, raining down on Lam Han like a storm. He doesn't look afraid, standing there stroking his chin and pondering. Even though it's a wide-area attack, the landing sequence isn't uniform. I can completely rely on my speed to weave through and dodge. But suddenly, Lam Han is startled. He feels his body inexplicably stiffen and can't move. Huh, he thinks to himself. It turns out that right behind me, Trungba Thien had cast a binding spell all this time. He laughs arrogantly. Too bad for you, I'm a binding master. He says to Lam Han, In front of me there's no such thing as a skill that can be dodged. Lam Han raises his hand to test it. Sure enough, his body is tightened by dozens of glowing strings. Take this! As the binding strings coil around him, Trungba Thien shouts, and a massive surge of power erupts from his body. It flies straight toward Lam Han, burying him in a blinding light. Briefly, Du Lei frowns in concern. No matter how strong Lam Han is, he can't possibly survive this move, right? Trung Tum Tien grit his teeth, waiting nervously for the results, and Hosin's eyes were wide open, staring unblinkingly. But contrary to what the three of them expected, Lin Han's silhouette gradually emerged. Emerging from the thick smoke, he laughed and said, Not a bad attack. He smiled at Trung Tam Thien and walked toward him leisurely. The ropes that had been binding him were shattered into pieces, leaving Trung Tam Thien shocked and exclaiming, You used raw strength to break free from my restraints. Lin Han smiled directly at him and grabbed some of the rope fragments. These might look intimidating, but in reality they aren't sturdy at all. He continued, It didn't even take much effort to snap them. Still, Lin Han wanted to offer a compliment, but the power behind that arrow was pretty good. Getting hit by that actually stung a bit. Do Lei stood in the distance, watching in terror and confusion, unable to contain herself. She blurted out, He broke free from the restraints with just his own strength and then caught the sharp arrow. Trung Tam Thien was so stunned he couldn't even speak. His jaw dropped as he stared at Lin Han. Hosin took a step back, stumbling, and said in terror, What kind of monster is this guy? Lin Han laughed as he lunged forward confidently, declaring, You've finished your attacks. Now it's my turn. But he had only taken one step when he suddenly collided with a transparent glass barrier. Ah! Lin Han cried out in surprise as a giant glass box materialized around him. Trapping Lin Han inside, Hosin said arrogantly, So sorry. As an artist, this is my draw the earth into a prison skill. As long as the pillar of light is active, you'll never be able to get out. But we can still easily attack you from the outside. Turning to his two teammates, Hosin shouted, What are you just standing there for? Use whatever you've got. Seizing the opportunity, Trung Tam Thien immediately unleashed the death-dealing snake whip. A glowing snake-headed leather whip appeared in his hand. On the other side, Du Lei also shouted, Deadly arrow! The glowing bow in her hand burst into flames, the arrow ready to launch at Lin Han. Lin Han gritted his teeth, gathering all his strength. He threw a powerful punch at the wall surrounding him. Give up, Hosin advised. You can't get out. He was extremely confident in his ability. But before he could even finish his sentence, Hosin's eyes widened in disbelief. How is that even possible? He panicked, his face turning pale. Lin Han smirked. He had punched a crack into the wall. One punch couldn't break it, huh? Then I'll just add a few more, won't I? He teased them. 3! Lin Han shouted loudly. A series of thunderous thuds echoed after every one of his powerful punches. With just a few follow-up strikes, Lin Han easily shattered Ho-Sin's wall to pieces without sustaining a single scratch himself. Now shouldn't it be my turn to attack? Lin Han smiled proudly at the three opponents before him. It's not over yet, Dula screamed, releasing the bowstring. Deadly killing arrow. After her shout, a giant arrow of light filled with murderous intent shot toward Lin Han. At the same time, Trung Tam Tien also roared, my ultimate technique, death-dealing snake whip. He swung his arm, the snake-headed whip lashing out straight at Lin Han. I'm not even afraid of this. Lin Han laughed, lunging forward and using both hands to block both attacks simultaneously. The crowd below cheered in excitement. They were absolutely stunned by his abilities. Oh my God! Defeating three experts using only physical strength, is this guy even human? Among the crowd, a girl held up a sign with her phone number and shouted, Mr. Lin Han, here's my contact info. Remember to come find me tonight. Lin Han stood proudly with his hands on his hips, looking at his opponents confidently. You three are actually quite good. An archer, a master of binding, and an artist, the combination of rare classes isn't bad at all. You almost made me lose, actually. His three opponents didn't feel proud at all. Instead, they lost all interest. Du Li crossed her arms, sulking. Almost lost, huh? You didn't even get a scratch on your skin. Trung Tam Tien stood behind her, scratching his head and sighing. Man, we didn't even get to see his real skills. Talk about frustrating. Ho-Sin nodded, stroking his chin. He's just too much of a freak. Lin Han frowned. Hey, don't go bad-mouthing people just because you couldn't beat them. He acted annoyed. I hold a grudge, you know. Yet the three formidable opponents turned around in unison and raised their hands in surrender. They shouted in harmony, Referee, I give up. I'm not fighting this freak. As soon as they finished, they cleared off the stage, leaving Lin Han looking after them in confusion. You won't even give me a chance to argue back. He grumbled, fine, whatever. It looks like Vuong Quang is competing over there. Let's go see how he's doing. Lin Han ran over to Vuong Quang, only to find him lying on a stretcher, gritting his teeth in pain. Ah, it hurts, it hurts. Go easy, go easy. Beside him, Van Von was kneeling, trying to heal his wounds, and said flustered, I'm sorry. Lin Han stepped forward, frowning at his friend. You still haven't been healed. I've already finished one match. Lin Han narrowed his eyes and looked closer. Wait, this wound of yours. It's fresh. Did you lose? Vuong Quang finally looked up, struggling to sit up and clutching his chest. My luck is just terrible, he complained. I ran into a total freak. I couldn't even see the guy's shadow. And I was defeated just like that. Fortunately, Van Van was there to help with the treatment. The girl beside me just sat there, timidly, head bowed. Lam Han walked over, put a hand on Vuong Quang's shoulder, and laughed. Kid, you're making pretty good progress, huh? Calling Van Van over already. Not bad, not bad. Vuong Quang jumped in surprise, pulled his arm back, and retorted with a blushing face. Stop talking nonsense, let's be serious. The guy who beat me is named Nguyen too. He's terrifyingly strong. Vuong Quang warned seriously. He and the other contestants are on an entirely different level. Lam Han didn't show any fear, he just smiled confidently. Don't worry, I've got it noted. Brother Han will avenge you. Even though Lam Han tried to reassure him, Vuong Quang still looked anxious shortly after. Lam Han quickly finished each match. He easily blew three opponents into the air. Third match, Lam Han wins, the referee announced clearly. Fourth match, Lam Han wins, advancing to the finals. Lam Han smiled as he heard the announcement, glancing down at his latest opponent who had just collapsed in front of him. Finally, Lam Han faced Nguyen Tu. He stood confidently looking at his opponent and asked with a smile, So, you're Nguyen Tu, right? You're the one who beat Vuong Quang, aren't you? Nguyen Tu on the other side was a blurry figure surrounded by thick black smoke that obscured his identity, revealing only piercing, glowing eyes. Is Dieu Nguyen City really out of talent? Nguyen Tu smirked craftily. The finals, and they let a second-tier priest sneak in. He mocked Lam Han with a sneer. Lam Han didn't feel insulted, but he wasn't impressed either. I already hate your tone. He frowned and retorted, Besides, it sounds like you're not even from Dieu Nguyen City, are you? Too much talk, Nguyen Tu interrupted. Let me see what a priest like you is actually capable of. As he finished, he sank into the ground. Ghostly black smoke emerged, swirling with dark flames. Let those old geezers see for themselves who the strongest really is. He declared smugly, then began to fade into the void. Nguyen Tu shouted, Great God of assassination, please grant me the power to break the dawn. A stream of jet-black energy shot straight toward him. Lam Han frowned as he watched. Is he trying to cover the entire arena in black mist to gain an advantage? Sensing something off, he realized this black mist didn't seem to be... While thinking, he startled and hurriedly backed away, not far from where he had been standing just a moment ago. A hand reached out from the black smoke and slammed a sword into the ground. A cloud of black smoke began to surround him. Nguyen-tu excitedly called out, "Not a bad reaction, but my attacks are silent and swift. Let's see how many times you can dodge this." Hearing that, he smiled confidently and replied, "So that's how it is. I get it now." All talk and no bite," he scoffed. Then he threw a powerful punch in one direction. Immediately, a cry of pain came from Nguyen-tu as he was forced to materialize and stumble back to his original spot. Shaking in fear, "Can't believe it. How could you possibly find where I am?" He smiled without hesitation and replied, "Actually, it's quite simple. During your first attack, you only extended one arm, so I guessed you might have to keep moving within the black mist to deliver a lethal blow. Looks like I was right." Nguyen-tu shifted back into his human form, eyes cold as he glared at him. "To analyze my skill after just one look. Lam Han, your combat talent is truly terrifying. But it's a pity you're still no match for me, Lam Han." He confidently grinned, raised his fist, and said, "What's with all that arrogance with that body of yours? Can you even take another one of my hits?" Nguyen-tu's body immediately split into another clone. He said scornfully, "No matter how strong your body is, you can only block once. With your talent, you can beat one of me, but can you beat two?" With that, both Nguyen-tu clones dashed at lightning speed toward Lam Han. He dodged their attacks while muttering, "After images created by sheer speed, huh? Wait, that's not right. Both of these energy signatures are real?" One of Nguyen-tu's clones brushed past his shoulder, laughing mockingly. "Ha ha ha! Looks like your body couldn't stop the blade in my hand. Go to hell." Even though he was struck, he remained incredibly confident. "What made you hallucinate that two of you could beat me?" Saying that, Lam Han used his bare hands to catch both of Nguyen-tu's clones with pinpoint precision. Nguyen-tu couldn't help but be absolutely shocked. "How is that even possible? A priest like you can actually keep up with my movements," he replied. Even though your skill to split into two is quite strange, and the gap in raw strength between you and me is just too big." With that, he grabbed both of his bodies and spun them around in the air. Nguyen-tu frantically screamed, "Ah, stop it, referee, I give up!" Hearing that, he swung his arms and tossed both of them straight forward. Once that was done, he turned to walk away. But he didn't forget to look back and throw out a warning. "Next time, learn to watch your mouth. If it keeps stinking like that, the consequences won't just end like this." The referee raised Lam Han's arm high and loudly announced, "Nguyen-tu has lost the ability to fight. The winner is Lam Han, and with that, the champion of this competition is officially Lam Han." A man walked up holding a small box and spoke warmly, "Congratulations, Lam Han, on becoming the top graduate of our Dieu Nguyen city in this year's exam. This is your reward." Seeing what was inside, he couldn't hide his joy and surprise. He blurted out, "Is this a villa?" The man smiled and explained, "That's right. Besides the villa, there are also skill books and a cash prize for you. As long as everyone strives to become stronger, whatever the government can do, we will definitely support you to the fullest." The crowd below, hearing about the rewards, couldn't help but gasp in amazement. "A whole villa? I wouldn't even dare to dream of that in this lifetime. Looks like I've got to grind for levels." Someone even shouted, "Lam Han, I want to have your babies. I want to live in that villa." The man turned to the crowd and said, "All right, everyone. The Dieu Nguyen exam officially concludes here. Next, you can interact with the representatives from the schools you're interested in. Hope everyone gets into their ideal university." A young girl stepped out confidently to introduce herself first. "I am Von T from Than Van Academy." Next, a young man with a cold expression spoke up. "I am Lai Trong Ka of Than Mong Academy." A teenager with a very confident look added, "I am Vuong Lap Tuong from Loi Van Academy." Following that, an old man with a shiny bald head introduced himself. "I am Ba Thien of Ku Van Academy." Finally, a middle-aged man stepped forward. "I am Kuk Fong Van of Trong Ki Academy." Vuong Quang rushed over, put an arm around Lam Han's shoulder and asked, "Hey bro, which academy are you choosing? I'm going for Ku Van Academy." "Pretty top tier, right?" He shoved Vuong Quang's arm away and replied, "You're lucky if you even made the top 8. If Ku Van Academy actually has their eyes on you, you'd better start praying now. As for me, It seems I didn't get any invitation letters at all. Hearing that, Vuong Quang angrily said, "Are you serious? You're the top graduate. How can no university be recruiting you? Someone must be pulling some shady strings, right? No way I have to go find them and give them a piece of my mind." Lam Han helplessly rubbed his temples and pulled Vuong Quang back with his other hand. Basically, they think I've chosen the wrong path. Instead of studying skills, I went all in on physical training, so they said they wanted to wait and see how I perform next season. Hearing this, Vuong Quang looked awkward. Honestly, I don't think they're entirely wrong. This muscle strength of yours really doesn't look like a priest's at all. Lam Han flicked Vuong Quang on the forehead hard. "If you don't know how to talk, just keep your mouth shut. Whatever, forget it. I don't even care about that bunch. No academy means one less burden for me. At least I've already bagged the prize. Time to go home." As dusk gradually fell at a secret location somewhere, a crowd has gathered here. A man speaks up, "Master Tu Lam Dien, you've finally decided to show yourself." The man known as Tu Lam replies, "I just finished inspecting the scene. There are definitely traces of a forbidden technique, but the Empire's borders are guarded by Saint-Tier experts. There's no way any Supreme from another country could have slipped in. Then where in the world could this mysterious powerhouse have come from?" The scene shifts to a luxurious villa. Lam Han is scrolling on his phone sipping chocolate while the news plays on the TV. According to reports from our station, at 3 in the afternoon yesterday, the supreme powerhouse of the Imperial Patrol Tu Lam Dien arrived in Dunguet City to investigate. His mother pours water and nags him. "Slow down when you eat, you boy. When you won that villa yesterday, I thought you had finally grown up. Who would have thought you'd still be so reckless?" Just then he jumps as he sees who is calling. A feeling of annoyance washes over him. "Oh man, this is trouble. Don't tell me they're coming right to my doorstep." The caller is none other than Manager Liu. He answers, trying to keep his voice as calm as possible. "Hello, Manager Liu. What can I do for you?" On the other end of the line, the old man smiles slyly, lifting his wine glass. "Ah, Lam, about that origin of the disaster you needed. I've got news." Lam Han hears this and perks up immediately. "That's great, really. Where is it located? I can always count on you to get things done." Manager Liu swirls his wine glass and chuckles. "This disaster is an earthquake, and according to intelligence, it's going to appear at a place called Yanvan City." Hearing the name Yanvan City, he frowns. "Send me the specific address immediately. I'll get ready to head out." Manager Liu gets noticeably excited and rushes to add, "Since you're heading out, Lam, you'll definitely need some gear, right? I've got some great stock in right now. Let me set some aside for you. Don't worry, I'll give you the best price." Hearing his pitch, he just smiles and turns him down. "I don't need any gear. Just wait until I bring back the spoils from this trip. I'll bring them to you to sell." Manager Liu is overjoyed and pats his chest. "In that case, nothing could be better. I am truly honored. Don't you worry, Lam. I'll make sure you're satisfied. Anything from Lam must be top-tier stuff." "We're going to hit the jackpot this time," he replies. "I have full confidence in your work." On the other end, he stands in his room gazing out into the distance. The source of the disaster. Yanvan City. Here I come. Back to Manager Liu, the old man tilts his head back. He drains the glass in one gulp and then laughs heartily. "Ha ha! This guy Lam really is unfathomably deep." Just then, his phone suddenly vibrates. Cutting his excitement short, it's a call from Boss Dien. Seeing it's him, he answers brightly. "Oh, my Boss Dien, what wind has blown you into calling me? Is your training arena doing that poorly then?" Boss Dien, on the other end, is furious at the comment. He turns purple with rage and shouts, "Cut the crap! Even if your auction house goes under, my training arena will still be thriving. Let's get to the point. You were the one who gave Lam Han that access pass, weren't you?" Hearing the harsh tone, Liu breaks into a cold sweat and asks, "What's the matter? Is it a crime for me to invest a little in a young guy with incredible talent?" Boss Dien scowls. "You fool! Even if that kid Lam has some potential, he's not worthy of the value that pass holds." Liu just sighs, troubled. He replies, "Look, Boss Dien, I won't say much else, but I hope you stop investigating Lam. I've been in this business for years, and my intuition tells me that Lam's abilities are far beyond what you can imagine." Boss Dien looks at him with contempt. "Humph! What is your intuition even worth?" "Whatever." Enough talk, I'm hanging up. As soon as Boss Dien hangs up, Liu feels a chill and breaks into a cold sweat. Staring at his phone, he mutters, even he felt a sense of danger. This guy Lam Han, Exactly what kind of terrifying background does he have? On a beautiful morning, the path is so cold that the trees on both sides are frozen solid. Lam Han checks the map on his phone while walking and exclaims, "Wait! Diamond Forest. It really lives up to its reputation. Under the sunlight, it looks just like sparkling diamonds." Suddenly, a desperate scream echoes from afar. "Ah! What's that?" No matter how I attack, I can't even scratch its armor. A sudden shriek made Lam Han jump. He spun around to see a girl sprinting straight toward him. A savage monster was closing in fast behind her. As she ran, she kept screaming, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Okay." She zipped past him like a gust of wind, then looked back and yelled, "Stop just standing there. Run. That thing is a platinum rank boss." He watched her go speechless. "We're just on the edge of the Diamond Forest, and we've already hit a platinum boss. I don't know if this kid is incredibly lucky or cursed." Seeing him still standing there like a statue, the girl turned pale and shrieked, "Run for heaven's sake!" Don't tell me this guy got scared out of his mind. Realizing the situation was dire, she bit her lip and turned back toward the hulking beast. With a taunting wink, she shouted, "Hey, you oversized lizard, if you've got the guts, come and catch me." Watching her risk her life to lure the monster away just so she wouldn't drag a stranger into it, he smiled and rubbed his chin. In such a life-or-death situation, she still thinks of others. Taking the heat to protect someone else, this girl's got some real backbone. From behind, the monster whipped out its tongue like a long rope, shooting it straight at the girl. She froze in sheer terror, slamming her eyes shut, sure that she was done for. But after a moment, she didn't feel a thing. She wondered, why haven't I logged out yet? She cracked one eye open and was stunned by what she saw. Lam Han was standing there, catching the monster's tongue with his bare hands. He spoke calmly. "Quit the screaming. This isn't a platinum boss, it's clearly a gold rank one. So, pretty lady, how are you planning to repay me?" Suddenly, the monster lunged, claws bared, to tear him apart, but he blocked the strike instantly. He countered with a devastating blow that sent the giant creature crashing into the ground. It skidded back a huge distance. The girl watched that terrifying display of strength with her jaw on the floor. "Oh my God, he's so strong. One move and he sent that gold rank Earthfire salamander to the afterlife. Let's team up." He scratched his head, feeling awkward. "Huh. What's your name? I don't even know who you are, let alone team up." He paused, weighing his options. "Besides, I'm here to find the source of the disaster. I can't be dragging around dead weight." Seeing his hesitation, the girl chirped happily, "I'm Do Uyendin. My class is a shape-shifting mage." Seeing how enthusiastic she was, he didn't have the heart to abandon her. "Fine. Since she risked her life to save me earlier, I'll let her tag along for a bit." He suddenly noticed her class and asked curiously, "A rare mage-type class, not bad at all." She just shrugged off the compliment and asked curiously, "It's nothing special really, but what's your name?" When Uyendin asked, he almost blurted out his real name but caught himself. "No, the higher-ups are watching me closely right now. If I use my real name, I'm just asking for trouble." He hesitated for a second, then decided to borrow his best friend's name. My name is Vuong Quang from Jiaoquang City." Hearing this, she cheered happily. "Big brother Vuong Quang, you're so badass. You took out a gold rank monster in one hit, and you look so young, too. How do you even cultivate? Can I come find you in Jiaoquang City later?" Listening to her rattle on, he twitched. "I've really done it now," he thought miserably. "I've picked up a living, breathing megaphone. How can one person have so many questions?" Powerless, he coughed a few times. "Cough, cough! Well, of course I'm strong. My real age is much older than what you see." Her eyes went wide. "I knew it. No wonder you're terrifyingly strong. This doesn't feel like the skills of some punk kid at all." "Ha ha, I'm so lucky." Seeing her look so smug, he asked curiously why. She shrugged. "Mage gear is insanely expensive and my pockets are empty. That's why I risked coming into the Diamond Forest to try my luck." She beamed. "But with you around, I feel like I could conquer the world, ha ha." Her carefree attitude made him shake his head with a sigh. This kid is hopelessly naive. "Fine, fine. Guess I'll just look after a little sister for a while." He patted her shoulder, making her jump. "Don't get too comfortable," he said coldly. In the distance, a black shadow was hurtling toward them. It caught their attention immediately. He warned her, "Watch out, trouble's here." A massive, hairy, pitch-black beast with blood-red, ferocious eyes roared violently. It pounded its muscular chest with both fists, a display of raw power meant to intimidate everything around it. That monster was a gold-rank, bloodthirsty ape. Lam Han pointed at the ape, sighing, "Look, trouble's knocking at the door." Du Uyendin was terrified. She screamed in shock, "Are you kidding me? Why is something like that out here on the outskirts? Just my luck, Lam Han said, maintaining his confident composure. Hide behind me, and you won't even get a scratch. His eyes were locked firmly onto the giant beast. It's so huge, you have to crane your neck just to see its massive head. Uyendin hurriedly shields her forehead with her hand and gives a thumbs up to cheer him on. Who else would dare to jump into this fight right now? Uyendin shouts, Big boss, you're so reliable. The ape throws a 1,000-pound punch, but Lam Han doesn't flinch, countering with a strike of his own. Stopping the attack dead in its tracks, the shockwave from the brutal collision destroys the surrounding ground, sending dirt and rocks flying everywhere. He smirks confidently. Golden rank, is that really all you've got? While busy dealing with the giant ape, Lam Han senses trouble behind him. Controlling the ape with one hand, he turns back to ask Uyendin, what now? The young girl behind him is running around in a complete panic, screaming at the top of her lungs as she runs. Don't come over here. There are lightning bolts chasing me. Talk about bad luck, never a moment of peace. Lam Han turns to see what kind of creature she's led straight to them, and even he is taken aback. A wolf-like monster with glowing red eyes is standing there looking ready for business. And what's scarier than one monster? A whole pack. Following the alpha are dozens of wolves scrambling over each other, eyes bloodshot, claws bared, ready to tear their prey to shreds. Lam Han turns pale with horror as he identifies the pack. Crimson demon wolves, not just one but a whole pack. This is insane. Is that girl cursed or something? Why do you attract every monster in sight? As if that wasn't enough, she drags him from one surprise to the next. Instead of having the sense to scatter when in danger, Uyendin turns around and rushes in, hugging Lam Han tightly from behind. Her actions scare the life out of him. She's a 1,000-pound burden. Can't she see he's busy handling someone else? Why jump out into the open? Was she sent as an NPC, specifically to hinder him? Or maybe she just wants to drag him down to the underworld for company. Uyendin is still whimpering. Big boss, we're not going to die, right? We're being squeezed from both sides now. The situation is painfully obvious. No need to explain it to me, Grandma. Lam Han is already occupied with a bloodthirsty ape, and now he has to carry dead weight too. The pack of demon wolves behind them is scary, but this useless crying dead weight is scarier. He insists, stop jinxing it. This thing still isn't enough to stop me. He tightens his grip on the ape's arm. The monster jolts in shock, unable to react. Lam Han channels his inner power, lifts the giant beast, and starts spinning it around like a propeller in midair. Uyendin just cowers behind his back, trembling. Suddenly he leaps high into the air, carrying the ape, which is several times his size, along with him. Once he reaches a certain height, Lam Han pours all his strength into throwing the beast like throwing a ball or a piece of trash. He yells, "Get out of my sight!" and the monster goes flying off like a leaf in the wind. It looks like Lam Han has a real talent for bowling. The ape he threw crashes down, flattening the entire pack of demon wolves below. One stone, two birds, the monster threat is temporarily resolved. The only problem is that human-powered dead weight next to him is still there. Lam Han lands as light as a feather, flashes a bright smile, and points at his handiwork. See, they're all gone. Uyendin is so shocked, her jaw drops. She clasps her hands in awe, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Big boss, you're the GOAT. I'm declaring myself your biggest fan from now on. They both look toward the dark, ominous forest. Uyendin asks, don't you feel like the Diamond Forest is a bit weird today? Lam Han nods in agreement. Yeah, the density of strong creatures here has spiked. Based on the number of monsters he had to take down as soon as he entered, it's definitely abnormal. Lam Han speculates, it seems like an earthquake is coming, causing the creatures deep in the forest to panic and flee to the outskirts. He figures there's still some time left before the tremors officially begin. He calculates in his head, could I use a forbidden spell to speed up the earthquake? To avoid any more trouble, Lam Han glances at Uyendin. She's still standing there with her mouth agape, not having recovered yet. He scratches his cheek awkwardly, thinking, I can't cast forbidden spells in front of her. If I reveal my trump cards, I'll have to find a way to trick her into going somewhere else. Uyendin, oblivious to his schemes, still smilingly pats his shoulder and says, but with all these bosses coming, I'm not scared anymore, big boss. You'll definitely handle them all right. Lam Han crosses his arms, closes his eyes, and adopts a dignified look. The rest of the journey depends on you. Suddenly losing her reliable support, Uyendin's face drops, and she cries out in confusion, Wait, what? Lam Han puts his hands behind his back and explains, full of it. I can sense it. A truly evil force has set foot in the Diamond Forest, someone whose power is not inferior to mine. The animals fleeing earlier were because he was scouting the area. It's highly likely we're going to have a brutal fight. It sounds truly heroic and epic, if only that fictional character actually existed. Uyendin turns pale with fear and asks in a rush, Then what should I do? A truly silly question. She must really have her run button broken whenever she sees danger. It's a miracle she's even made it to this chapter. Her ancestors must be carrying her hard. Lam Han looks at her exhausted and gives a blunt answer. Simple. Leave here right now. But she doesn't move immediately, glancing at the corpses of the monsters he just defeated, fearfully asking, But what if the Beast King chases me? Lam Han asserts firmly, Don't worry. Not even if it wanted to could it catch you. With that, he gives a friendly smile, grabs Uyendin by the shoulders, and whoosh! He throws her with all his might, giving her a free lesson in flying. Before she can even react, Uyendin only manages to open her mouth to scream, No! Before her feet are off the ground. Lam Han is decisive, dropping just one short line. Before sending the young lady to the skies, have a safe flight. Before Uyendin could even react, she only managed to scream, D-U-N-G-G-G-G-G! Before her feet were already off the ground. Lam Han didn't hesitate for a second, dropping just one brief sentence. Before I send you off to the heavens, have a safe journey. She flew high and far away from the area she was just standing in, then landed with a loud thud on a patch of open ground, sending pebbles flying in every direction upon impact. Uyendin hurriedly felt all over her body. Her whole body was enveloped in a blue light, and she was completely unscathed. What kind of supernatural power did that master use? She landed face first, yet it didn't hurt at all. That was truly miraculous. Lam Han sighed in relief, rubbing his head. After all that effort hauling her around, he could finally get down to business. That annoying tail was finally gone. Now he could freely use his forbidden spells. Time to speed things up and get this earthquake moving. He approached a large, clear blue lake, its surface calm and still in the middle of the deep forest. The scenery was truly poetic and picturesque. Lam Han raised his staff high and began to channel his forbidden spell, Chaotic Domain. The wind around him immediately whipped up violently. Very quickly, a barrage of giant fireballs rained down from above like a carpet bombing, looking just like the apocalypse that wiped out the dinosaurs. Uyendin, who had just struggled to sit up in the distance, was terrified to the core by this scene. The landscape was desolate yet hauntingly magnificent. The blood had drained completely from her face. She covered her mouth with shaking hands, stuttering, What the heck is this? This is considered a forbidden spell, right? She was so scared her soul had left her body. At the epicenter where Lam Han unleashed his magic, a pillar of fire shot high into the sky, resembling a volcanic eruption or a nuclear weapon being detonated. The surrounding trees were scorched and decimated, leaving only charred, blackened trunks. The scene was overwhelming. The ground was torn apart by the ferocious flames, splitting into deep trenches with lava overflowing everywhere. Truly a natural disaster. A sense of horror and death loomed over everything. Everywhere one looked, there was only ruins and destruction. Lam Han, the source of all the trouble, didn't care about the environmental consequences in the slightest. He only felt a twinge of concern had he gone a bit overboard with all that fire. But he immediately brushed that thought aside. Whatever, forget it. As long as I get the origin of natural disasters, everything is worth it. A man steadfast in his goals. Truly someone to learn from. Cut to the scene at the Yanvan City Scout Bureau. The headquarters didn't look like anything special from the outside, just a few mundane-looking buildings. A staff member dashed into the break room, reporting in a hurried voice, Minister, we've got big trouble. In Yanvan City, there's been abnormal forbidden spell energy. Outside the Diamond Forest, a girl reported that there are 2 experts fighting inside the forest. One of them used a forbidden spell. The minister, who had been relaxing on a chair with an eye mask on, sleeping soundly, jolted upright like a spring at the report. He ripped off his eye mask in a panic and gave the order, What, quickly invite Senior Seelin here immediately. An elderly man dressed in luxurious attire stepped in. His silver hair was slicked back neatly. He spoke in a steady, calm voice, I have arrived. The staff member looked at him with great reverence, hurriedly stepping aside and bowing to clear a path for this distinguished guest. The minister scrambled to stand up to greet him so fast that the eye mask was still hanging off his head. He completely lost his dignified image as a leader. Senior, according to current intelligence, There are 2 high-level experts battling in the Diamond Forest. I request your assistance in supporting us." The elderly man stroked his elegant beard, showing interest in the current situation. "I actually felt that there was going to be an earthquake here soon, so I dropped by to take a look. I didn't expect to run into this interesting spectacle. Lately, why the heck are so many nameless experts popping up?" The minister furrowed his brow in calculation and timidly suggested, "Senior, should we proceed with a blockade and capture?" Lord Silin gave a loud, clear command. "Bring the detection system and the shielding screen. Pinpoint that person's location for me. No matter what, I must meet them once to see who they are. As for whether or not we can take them on, we'll see." It seemed he was determined to find the identity of this hidden master. The order was quickly received. The minister replied, "Yes, understood, Lord Silin." Silin mused to himself. He was determined to uncover the identity of this mysterious expert. The orders were quickly received and carried out. "Understood, sir," Silin thought to himself. The power of the forbidden spell in the Diamond Forest doesn't look like it's at the supreme level. On the contrary, it has some of the power of a saint. He sighed heavily. "I'm starting to regret taking on this bitter task now. Because I already took on this mess." Back in the Diamond Forest, the scorched earth and the ferocious pillars of fire had subsided. The landscape gradually returned to its usual stillness after the storm. Lam Han laughed triumphantly. "Ha-ha, the origin of natural disasters is finally in my hands." He held the exquisite shimmering blue orb in his hand. The goal was achieved quickly and easily. Before he could even celebrate, Lam Han was startled as he realized something was wrong. He spun around on guard. Why did so many powerful auras suddenly appear surrounding this place? Through his monitoring system, he detected the Yanvan City Scout Bureau team assembling not far from his location. They had even closed in right behind him. They were planning to surround him. A command shouted out, "Activate all detection and shielding devices at all costs. Smoke that person out for me." Lam Han hurriedly pulled out a lifeline item. It was a portable teleportation array. He started to sweat bullets, thinking to himself, "This is bad, this is a disaster." If they activated the space shielding equipment, this would become a useless brick, and he wouldn't be able to teleport. In a flash, he activated the device in his hand. A magic circle and a blinding white light appeared, engulfing Lam Han. He prayed for good luck to favor him this time. Please, please let me still be in time. Outside, the scouting team is conducting a tight sweep. Reports keep coming in over the comms. Southeast sector all clear. Southwest sector secure. Reporting northeast sector, no target detected. Northwest sector, we've spotted a... Before the agent could finish his sentence from that exact spot, a massive beam of light shot straight into the sky, tearing through the night. The old minister slammed his fist down in a rage, shouting, "Damn it, who the hell was that? To think they slip it right through our fingers." Siling was equally shocked, exclaiming, Is that a handheld teleportation array? A normal person could never get their hands on such a luxury toy." Cut to Lin Han's place. As he was casually brushing his teeth and washing his face, his phone started ringing. It was a call from Manager Liu. "Good morning, Manager Liu." The voice on the other end sounded incredibly urgent. "Oh, Lin, you're not up yet. Something huge happened last night." Lin Han was slightly startled, but quickly regained his composure. "Something huge? What do you mean?" Manager Liu replied. "There was an earthquake in Yanyun City last night, and a mysterious powerhouse appeared. I'm worried sick about you, Lin." Hearing this, he was secretly amused, but he feigned shock. "What, an earthquake last night? I haven't even gone there yet." "What about the Calamity Corps?" Manager Liu laughed. "Don't worry, Lin. As soon as I got the news about the Calamity Corps, I reached out to you immediately." He replied, "Thanks for the trouble, Manager Liu." After hanging up, Lin Han stared at his phone with a look of annoyance. That old fox, he's just trying to fish for information. Wiping his face, Lin Han thought, "Whatever the Calamity Corps is already in my hands, time to go for my advancement." Back at the association manager, Liu chuckled triumphantly. "A mysterious warrior in the Diamond Forest using a handheld teleportation array. Oh, Lin, you wanted to cover your tracks, but you left a trail. Such an obvious slip-up. Do you really think so little of everyone else?" The scene shifts to the advancement hall. A staff member greets him, "Welcome, guest." "Oh, Lin, is that you?" Lin Han scratched his head and gave a wry smile. "Ha ha, nice to see you again. I'm here for my 3rd advancement quest." She gasped in surprise. "If I recall correctly, you just completed your 2nd advancement half a month ago. Have you already collected the Calamity Core?" Lin Han patted his chest confidently. "Of course. These little things are nothing to me." The other staff members were stunned. Is he a monster? Leveling up is fast, but gathering resources even faster. Are you even going to give us normal folks a chance to live? Oh my God, am I about to witness the birth of the world's first third advancement priest? The staff member from before said, "Lin, you're incredible. Please place your hand on the terminal and we'll issue your quest immediately." As soon as Lin Han touched the machine, a status window appeared. Name Lin Han. Class Priest. Status, Second Advancement Level 20. Advancement Quest. Go to the Forbidden Forest. Find the Forest Guardian and obtain the Guardian's Heart. Quest Type, Team Quest. Quest, Rank, S. Lin Han frowned after reading the quest details. Another S-rank quest. Are you trying to make it impossible for a priest to survive? And wait, does Moon City even have a forbidden forest? I didn't see one last time. Whatever, I'll just take the quest first. He smiled at the staff member and said, "I accept." She bowed her head. Understood. I'll register it for you right away. The quest deadline is the day after tomorrow. I wish you a safe and successful journey. The scene shifts to the association where Manager Liu exclaimed excitedly, "Lin, seeing you always puts me in a good mood." Lin Han handed him a paper and smiled. Haha, of course. I've got a business opportunity for you this time. Here is the list of gear and potions I need. My advancement quest is in Yun City. Glancing at the paper, Manager Liu smiled. A third advancement quest, huh? I suppose I should congratulate you in advance, Lin. You're going to be the first third advancement priest. He secretly calculated. Third advancement requires 3 calamity cores. There was an earthquake last night, and now Lin comes to advance. This definitely isn't a coincidence. Lin Han sensed Manager Liu's prying gaze. As he sipped his tea, he thought, the old guy is already suspicious of me. If that's the case, I might as well play the mystery card, throw out some smoke and mirrors, so he can't figure out the truth. He sighed and started complaining. My master risked so much to get the Calamity Core for me. Every time I'm scared to death for them. After all, I'm just a support class. I really feel guilty about putting my master through this. Hearing this, the old manager was incredibly shocked. He thought to himself, a master, so he has a mysterious powerhouse backing him. No wonder he could get his hands on the Calamity Core. Where on earth did they come from? Just how strong is this mysterious powerhouse to be able to keep getting Calamity Cores like that? Forget it. No matter what, I absolutely must stay on good terms with this master and his disciple. Then he spoke up and asked, Brother Lam, I have a treasure here. Would you like to see if it's of any use to you? Hearing this, he was quite surprised. What is it? Lam Han stared curiously at the item placed on the tray. It turned out to be a disguise mask face slot gold grade. The equipment description says, once worn, you can easily change into someone else's face. However, don't wear it for too long, otherwise you might forget who you truly are. Who is this exactly? Lam Han exclaimed happily. Nice stuff. How much is it? The man kept his professional smile and said, Since you're a regular customer, I'll be straightforward with you. 4 million. Lam Han raised 2 fingers and countered 2 million. The man pointed at his phone, haggling, 3,800,000, I can't go any lower. Lam Han continued to drive the price down, 2,400,000. The man smiled, as if his own plan had already succeeded. They settled on 3 million. Then the man handed the disguise mask to him, and he smiled, shaking the manager's hand. Deal. He waved goodbye happily. Ha, finally got the mask. Thanks. Manager Liu bowed. Take care, Brother Lam. In his mind, he was calculating a measly 3 million in exchange for the favor of a master with infinite potential. What could be a better deal than this? Back home, he opened the system interface and commanded the system to trigger a 10,000-fold increase. What was originally just a piece of fabric had now turned into a shimmering silver mask. An information board popped up notifying 10,000-fold increase triggered. Disguise mask upgraded successfully. Host, please inspect. Name Freedom God Mask. Slot face. Grade Legendary. Details. Once worn, the mask transforms the wearer into anyone they have known, including gender, physique, and facial features. During the transformation, the user can inherit all the abilities of the person being mimicked. He happily looked at the treasure in his hands and muttered, What a great treasure. With this, I can disguise myself as that mysterious master. If the people above try to track me down, they won't find me anytime soon. Let's test its power. After transforming into Chao Sung, he thought excitedly, "It's exactly like him, a perfect copy, just as expected." Last time he heard Vuong Quang say that tomorrow Chao Sung would come to Yanvan City for training. If I disguise myself as him, no one will suspect that the person appearing in Yanvan City is actually Lam Han. Scene shift to the street. Lam Han quietly observed Chao Sung's figure from afar. Holding the mask in his hand, he wore a cunning smile, thinking, "Ha Chao Sung, oh Chao Sung, you're going to be the perfect alibi for me." Vuong Quang was walking on the street when suddenly a voice called out, "Brother Chao Sung, oh my!"
I knew it was you the moment I heard your voice.
He looked at the person in front of him in surprise. "Luong, what are you doing here?" Luong enthusiastically grabbed Vuong Quang's hand and said, "Ever since you were accepted into the elite academy, Brother Chao Sung, I've believed you would do great things. I'm so proud of my eye for talent. Since we met by chance today, I absolutely must treat you to a few drinks." Vuong Quang replied, "Since we met again today, I'll definitely have to have a few drinks with you." Both of them laughed and chatted happily. Luong affectionately put his arm around Vuong Quang's shoulder. "Then we have to celebrate for you, big brother. Let's go grab a few my treat, scene shift to a bar." Vuong Quang was dead drunk, slumped over the table. Opposite him was Lam Han holding the mask in his hand. He smirked at Vuong Quang, thinking to himself, "That sedative is pretty potent. At the very least, you'll be asleep until tomorrow. As for the Iron Forest mission, don't mind if I do." After saying that, Lam Han put on the mask and transformed back into Lam Han. Then he pushed the passed-out Vuong Quang toward the waitress, smiling, "Hello." He flashed a powerful VIP card. "Let him sleep in the most premium room. If he doesn't wake up on his own, don't bother him." After slipping into a quiet alley, Lam Han continued using the mask. "Watch me transform again." After transforming into Vuong Quang, he grinned triumphantly. "Done now, who on earth could possibly recognize me? Time to go do that Iron Forest mission." Entering the forest just as Lam Han was lost in thought, a hand landed on his shoulder. The man called out, "Hey, brother, have you joined a party for the Iron Forest dungeon yet? Our reputation is guaranteed." He turned around to look at the person behind him, awkwardly asking a blunt question. "What's your name, old man?" Hearing the word old man, the man seemed to fall into a depression facing the wall. "Am I really that old? I'm only 27. It must be this beard that makes me look so aged. I'll shave it all off sooner or later." Lam Han looked at the man helplessly, thinking to himself, "This guy is really mentally fragile." He spoke up awkwardly. "Hey man, I'm Chao Sung, an assassin. What's your name? What's your class? Are there really just the two of us for this Iron Forest dungeon? It's a miracle, isn't it?" The man immediately snapped back to his senses, slinging an arm around Lam Han as he introduced himself. "I'm Vuong Khan, a level 30 shield knight. I've still got connections to 2 other people. I'll make sure you're satisfied. I'm Chao Sung. I'll just call you Brother Can, all right?" You couldn't help but think to yourself, this feeling, why does this feel like I just walked into a sauna? Just as Vuong Khan was laughing smugly and acting polite, a woman stepped forward and asked coldly, "Are they all here yet?" You turned around and were startled to realize it was the referee. She recognized you immediately. "You're leveling up fast, aren't you?" "I'm Cao Luong, your teammate for this run." Just then, 3 people approached from behind. It was none other than Lam Uyen Din, along with 2 men, one looking a bit chubby and the other tall and sturdy. Uyen Din spoke up apologetically. "Sorry we're late." "We're late." Vuong Khan waved his hand dismissively, acting polite. No worries at all. "These 2 are—" Uyen Din quickly explained. "I'm Lam Uyen Din, and my class is a versatile mage. Yeah, they're just here for a routine inspection." "We won't be following you for too long," said the chubby guy. Last time this girl had witnessed experts fighting. The other guy did an eagle wing flap motion and added, "We're here to investigate the situation this time." You smiled bitterly, lamenting internally. "What kind of luck is this to team up and run into 2 acquaintances? And 2 government officials, no less," Vuong Khan said excitedly. "All right, everyone's here. Let's clear the dungeon." Immediately, a ring of light appeared beneath their feet, teleporting the group into the Iron Forest. Once they arrived, Vuong Khan was the first to pipe up, "Aha, beautiful Iron Forest, I've arrived." Cao Luong immediately scolded him. "Vuong Khan, what are you screaming for? Don't you feel like something's wrong? It's deathly quiet here." Vuong Khan crossed his arms and said, "Both of us are level 30. As long as we don't run into a boss monster, we 2 can handle anything." "Look at you, scared out of your mind. Chao Luong angrily snapped at Vuong Can. "You really are an idiot." Just then a tiger stepped out and roared at them, startling Vuong Can, who had been walking in front. But shortly after he smiled mockingly. "So it's just a steel-striped tiger. Chao Luong, look at you, what have you been scared into?" Chao Luong remained serious, saying, "You're a total idiot, we're in trouble." Instantly, 10 more steel-striped tigers appeared from the shadows. They roared fiercely and charged toward the group. Vuong Can smiled and drew his shield with one hand to block. With his other hand, he gripped his sword and said, "I'll hold the left. Use whatever you've got. We have to defend the right." Chao Luong dashed forward with incredible speed. Standing in front of Vuong Can, she said, "Just focus on protecting yourselves. Even with this many steel-striped tigers, they're nothing in my eyes." Then Chao Luong used her top speed combined with a few basic slashes, and cleanly took down a bunch of the tigers. Uyen Din couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "So strong." Lam Han was equally stunned, 2 offensive-class fighters. Truly powerful. With 2 level 30 experts taking action, the tigers can't even get close. But suddenly, another steel-striped tiger appeared from nowhere. It looked significantly larger than the others. Vuong Can finally started to break out in a cold sweat. "Are you kidding me? A steel-striped tiger king? This is a gold-tier boss. Why is it out here in the outer iron forest?" Lam Han looked back at Uyen Din, thinking to himself, "Why is it that every time I meet this girl, I run into a gold-tier boss?" Her luck is truly overwhelming. Uyen Din noticed the gaze of Vuong Can, who you were disguised as staring fixedly at her. Feeling guilty, she asked, "What are you looking at me for?" Vuong Can struggled to hold off the Tiger King's attack, gritting his teeth as he said, "It's no use. This beast is too strong. I'll hold it back. Everyone split up and run. Otherwise, we're all gonna die here." Hearing that, all 3 of them, Lam, Uyen Din, and the 2 government officials, said in unison, "Run!" Then the 3 of them plus you scattered in different directions. After getting a good distance away, Lam Han stopped, pulled out his mask, and smiled cunningly. "Now that no one's around, I have to rely on the mask of the gods to create a mysterious expert one that will totally grab the attention of the Tulam Dien organization." You transformed into a frail old man in a hooded cloak and let out a dry, wheezing laugh. "Heh, time for this old man to step in and save them." Now who should I start with? Back with Chao Luong and Vuong Can. Vuong Can grumbled, "What rotten luck. Why are we running into so many monsters?" Chao Luong spun around and screamed with a look of alarm, "Watch out!" A swift slash tore through the air. Luckily, Vuong Can managed to dodge it just in time. The attack easily severed a massive tree nearby. Vuong Can stared in shock at what had just appeared before them, a colossal wolf glaring at them with pure, hateful fury. He let out an exclamation, "A gold-tier shadow wolf, Wang Qian!" He laughed with pure excitement. "Ha ha ha, my luck isn't half bad today. Let me take care of this stray shadow wolf." Without a second thought, he grabbed his heavy shield and hurled it straight at the beast. But Chao Liang was faster, snatching the kill away. "Sorry, but this life is mine." She landed a brutal strike, snapping the wolf's neck as it let out a pathetic howl. The beast collapsed, bleeding out all over the ground. Seeing this, Wang Qian frowned in annoyance and snapped, "What the hell do you think you're doing, Chao Liang? Stealing my kill?" Chao Liang smirked triumphantly, stepping on the spoils she had just snatched. She said haughtily, "If you want to blame someone, blame your own slow reflexes." What if the shadow wolf had gotten away? What then? They stood face to face, sparks flying between their eyes like lightning. It looked like a brawl was about to break out. "What, you want to fight?" In the middle of this tense gunpowder-filled standoff, Lin Han only had eyes for the loot they had just hunted. Watching from a tree, he thought greedily, as expected. Level 30 elites have no trouble with a stray gold-tier monster. The fur on this shadow wolf looks high quality. I'll be taking that. With that thought, he hopped down and said politely, "Excuse me, would you 2 mind letting me have the fur of this shadow wolf?" His sudden appearance caused the 2 powerhouses to go dark and panic. Where did this expert come from? How did he get this close without us even noticing? Wang Qian, seeing him, drew his sword, looking imposing and furious. "Why on earth should I give it to you? This is something my companion and I risked our lives to get." Lin Han kept a mysterious demeanor. "This shadow wolf's fur is very useful to me. If you're unwilling to hand it over, this old man will have to be rude." Hearing that, the 2 of them gripped their weapons and prepared to attack. "Chao Liang, let's do this." "Got it, you idiot." Seeing them rush toward him, he casually suppressed them both to the ground with his bare hands. Immediately after, he looked at them with a fierce, slightly greedy glint in his eyes and scoffed, "Can we talk like civilized people now?" Realizing they were dealing with a true expert, the two didn't dare say a word. Sweat poured down their faces as they stammered, "Please take the Shadow Wolf Sr., Safe Travels Sr." Through this incident, he felt even more convinced that talking with your fists is always the most effective way. As he ventured deeper into the forest, a pack of monsters suddenly rushed at him from the front. They tried to take him down, but he activated his defensive barrier, knocking them flat onto the ground in agony. He muttered to himself, "Are you kidding me with my current defense? You bunch of weaklings can't do a thing. Taking care of you is too simple." Before he could finish his thought, a massive monster came lumbering out from a distance. It roared with fury. He immediately recognized it, the three-eyed demon ape lord of the forest. No wonder these little monkeys dared to ambush me. They had this big guy backing them up. He steeled himself. "Fine then. Before I change my class, let me test my hand-to-hand combat skills against you." He lunged forward and threw a punch at the monster, but the beast was incredibly strong. It reacted instantly and dodged his attack. Seeing this, he smiled impressed. "Nice reflexes. You managed to dodge my fist. Let's see how many more you can take." Suddenly, the monster raised its hand as if to call a truce. It seemed to have sensed his overwhelming power. This made him pause. "Huh. Are you asking for mercy?" However, the monster kept looking around frantically, which puzzled him. "What are you trying to do?" Suddenly, it walked over to a tree, smashed it until it snapped, and grabbed the trunk, leaping at him to attack. This action surprised him, but he quickly became intrigued. "Interesting. You even know how to use weapons. Come on, show me what you've got." Provoked, the monster swung the tree trunk straight at him, but with one punch, he shattered it. Impacted by his terrifying strength, the monster didn't have time to react before it took his strike head-on and was sent flying far away. Seeing it lying there motionless, he scoffed, "A puny gold-tier monster. So weak." Suddenly, a voice echoed from behind. "We need to find our teammates and regroup immediately. I've scouted this area out. It's definitely safe." Over on the other group's side, they saw the corpse of the massive gold-tier monster and were stunned, frozen in their tracks. Once they regained their senses, they still found it hard to believe. Holding their heads, they exclaimed, "How is that even possible?" Hidden behind a tree, he looked at them with a grimace. "It's this girl again. Nothing good ever happens, does it?" The three of them approached the unconscious gold-tier monster. According to my investigation, she noted, an expert knocked out this three-eyed demon ape. The man next to her also spoke up. "This expert is likely a warrior. I see a fist print indented on the wood debris." The girl looked at the wound and found it familiar. Ending a fight with one punch. "Why does this style seem so much like the expert named Wang Qian I met before?" Suddenly, Cao Liang and Wang Qian approached from a distance and asked, "Yuan Ting, finally, we found you. Oh right, have you seen Cao Sung anywhere?" She turned back to look, then replied in disappointment, "Still nothing. You don't think he got surrounded by that pack of monsters, do you?" Hearing the girl show such concern for him, he thought to himself, "Thanks for worrying about me, kid. Perfect. There are too many people around, it's not the right time to show myself. I should just scout ahead and finish the mission first." Upon reaching a deep, secluded part of the forest, he let out a sigh of relief. Phew! Finally shook off that crowd. Once that was settled, he started wondering, but where on earth am I supposed to find the heart of the Guardian? Just as he looked up, he suddenly spotted a platinum-rank boss guarding the forest. The tree monster launched a barrage of vines toward the white-haired old man. The old man nimbly leaped into the air to dodge the attack, thinking to himself, the defensive and offensive power of a platinum-rank monster is truly terrifying. To take it down, I have to avoid those vines and strike its core. The old man launched himself up to dodge, but the vines were relentless, chasing him until they caught him wrapping tightly around his legs. Watching the vines binding him, the old man showed no fear and retorted, "You overgrown thing, do you really think these pathetic vines are enough to handle me?" As soon as he said that, he unleashed his internal energy, snapping all the vines at once. The tree monster was utterly shocked, then roared in pain and fury. The sound echoed throughout the entire forest. It summoned an army of beasts that came charging in. Seeing this, the old man froze, his expression darkening. Landing on the ground from above, he sighed, "As expected of the boss of this iron forest. To think it can actually command all the giant monsters here.